Welcome, 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 everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. The Jamaica Midlife Health Society welcomes you to another CME accredited Zoom webinar symposium for 2026. It is Heart Health After 35 and Beyond. I'm Samuel from Allgate Solutions, and we thank you so much for taking the invite and joining us today. Trust me, we have a wonderful, wonderful session planned for you. And the moderator for our first session is Dr. Lisa Kervin Dawes. I'm going to hand over to her now, and do enjoy the program that has been set out for you by the JMHS. Dr. Lisa, over to you. Afternoon.
Actually, welcome everybody, but I'm going to hand you over to Dr. William Brown, who is the president of JMHS, to give our welcome and opening remarks.
And you want me to do, I think I can just do the opening remarks by saying and then a prayer, and then I'll offer my welcome. Just to say that this is our second of the three webinars we have for the year. Opening remarks, the opening remarks. And so this is the second of our webinar, and we are looking forward to having the third one in October. I hope we increase our numbers and we continue to fulfill the mandate of the MAG under whose auspices we fall under. Thank you all for coming. I'll welcome you later on after the prayer.
Let us pray. Father God, we just want to give you thanks, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord God, for this opportunity where we can gather, Lord God, to discuss, Lord, the importance of a healthy heart, Lord. The importance, Lord God, of maintaining healthy lifestyle, Lord, which will extend, Father, our lifetime. Father, we want to give you thanks, Lord, for the specialists who have joined us today, who will be sharing their knowledge with us. We want to thank you, Lord God, for the sponsors who have come on board with us, Lord God, to make this webinar a possibility. Thank you, Lord, also for everyone who is able to join us this evening, mighty God, who has given up the time, Lord, to gain information on how, Lord, to extend their lifetime, how to live healthier and better lives. We want to give you thanks, Lord, for all that you have done for us. We want to thank you, Lord God, as you guide the proceedings this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Dr. Brown?
Amen.
Amen. Over to you, Dr. Brown, to continue. Did we lose Dr. Brown? Okay,
Yes, I'm here.
Have some internet issues.
I fell off a little bit. So can I go ahead with my welcome and greetings?
Sure.
All right, I fell off a little. I just came back. So heart health after 35 and beyond for longevity and performance. That's our topic for today. Our webinar promises to be a very good one. And good afternoon to all of you, especially the moderators, our presenters, our two presenters, our many sponsors, distinguished guests, colleagues, members of the JMHS, Jamaica Midlife Health Society, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today's meeting and discussion on a topic that touches every one of us. That is heart health after 35 years. Keeping your engine running for longevity and performance. Now, we often describe the heart as the engine of the body, and that's for good reason, because like any other engine, how well it performs over time depends not only on how it was built, but also on how it is maintained. After the age of 35, many of lifestyle patterns, habits, stresses, and health risks we accumulate begin to influence our cardiovascular health more noticeably. Yet, this stage of life is not about slowing down, but it's about becoming intentional. Whether we are focused on family, on careers, or on leadership, or service, or personal fulfillment, maintaining heart health is essential to sustaining energy, productivity, mental sharpness, and quality of life. Today's discussion is not only about preventing disease, it is about promoting performance, preserving vitality, and extending healthy years. Not simply adding years to life, but life to years. Our speakers will help us explore practical and evidence-based approaches to protecting the heart throughout healthy living, early detection, risk reduction, and sustainable choices that support longevity. So we hope that at the end of this meeting, participants would understand one, understand major heart diseases and their risk after age 35. Two, identify lifestyle habits that protect the heart. Three, recognize warning signs of heart disease. Four, know important screening tests. And five, learn practical prevention strategies. Now, after 35, don't wait for a breakdown. Service your engine for lifelong performance. Regular maintenance matters more than waiting for warning signs. So remember, know your numbers in terms of the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, the sugar, etc., the waist circumference. Move intentionally, that's this exercise, however you do it. Eat for your arteries, not eat for your belly, and eat for your arteries will appreciate you. Sleep is cardiovascular medicine. Sleep is cardiovascular medicine. Manage stress before it manages you. Avoid the silent accelerator. Since we are talking about vehicle and the engine, avoid the silent accelerators and recognize the warning signs on your dashboard. So, longevity is not just about living longer, it is keeping the heart strong enough to support energy, productivity, mobility, and quality of life. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the GMH's Executive Committee and faithful members, I thank you all for making your health a priority.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown, our president. I'm going to hand over now to Ms. Shannon Smith for the official opening.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Heart Foundation of
Right.
Jamaica.
So on behalf of the GMH Executive Committee and the faithful members, I thank you for making your health a priority and for being part of this important conversation. Welcome all, and let's begin. Over to you, Lisa.
I think, William, you're dropping in and out, but thank you so much. Back to you, Ms. Smith. We have to work
Yes,
on
I'm in and out. I don't
internet
know what's
still.
happening to my internet. Mm-hmm.
Internet. Well,
You can
welcome
go
to
ahead.
Jamaica. Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, I extend warm greetings to the Jamaica Midlife Health Society, its executive committee, presenters, sponsors, and all participants joining today's webinar symposium. We commend the Jamaica Midlife Health Society for its continued commitment to promoting optimal health through education and meaningful public engagement. The Society's focus on midlife health and preventative wellness is both timely and important, particularly as cardiovascular disease continues to significantly impact individuals, families, and communities across Jamaica. Today's theme, Heart Health After 35 and Beyond, Keeping the Engine Running for Longevity and Performance, is a powerful reminder that heart health must remain a priority throughout every stage of adulthood. Cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death globally and continues to be one of the major causes of illness and death in Jamaica. Hypertension, diabetes, obesity, poor diet, physical inactivity, smoking, and chronic stress continue to place many persons at increased risk for heart disease and stroke. As is well documented, menopause accelerates cardiovascular disease risks because this declining estrogen levels remove the heart's natural protection. This leads to adverse changes like increased bad cholesterol, higher blood pressure, arterial stiffness, and unhealthy weight gain, significantly increasing the likelihood of heart attacks and strokes in postmenopausal women. Preventative care, regular screening, healthy nutrition, physical activity, stress management, and early intervention all play critical roles in protecting and improving cardiovascular health. At the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, we remain committed to our 55 years legacy of promoting heart health through cardiovascular screening, diagnostic services such as echocardiogram, stress treadmill, Holter monitoring, ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. We also do public education, we have pharmacy services, and we offer island-wide CPR training programs. For health professionals, we offer advanced cardiac life support courses, pediatric advanced life support courses from our 28 Beachwood Avenue and through outreach activities across Jamaica. Our team continues to support Jamaicans in taking proactive steps towards healthier lives. So I encourage everyone participating today to fully engage in the discussions, ask questions, and take away practical knowledge that can positively impact your own health and the health of those around you. Thank you once again to the Jamaica Midlife Health Society for the invitation and for the important work you continue to do. I wish you all a successful and informative symposium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shannon Smith. Thank you so much. And now we are going to turn it over to Sam for an overview of JMHS. Good afternoon again. And at this time, we're going to have our pre-test. This is important for those who wish to have their CME credits But in general, it's just good to know where we are before we start. So time for a pre-test. Sam, you sent it out?
Yes, Dr. Lisa. Good afternoon again, everyone. The pre-test link for medical professionals who would like to get CMEs is now available in the chat. You'll simply click and it will take you to the pre-test. Good hunting. Back to you, Dr. Lisa.
Okay, I am going to actually just give them about 2 minutes to look at it.
Sure.
And so that they can pay attention to our sponsors when they come on a little bit too, because without our sponsors and our audience, we don't have the seminar.
Agreed.
So just give them
I'll play a little bit of
play a
music.
little
When
bit
the
more,
music, it'll be 2 minutes and
finishes.
then it will end and we'll go.
Yes.
No problem.
And then
All
right
right.
after that, just go over to the sponsors, of which the first one which will be Mankind Pharma, which is a
Perfect.
recording. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Kadama Shah, a medical representative with R.A. Williams Distributors, your platinum sponsor for today's webinar. Today's theme is all about keeping the engine running for longevity and performance. And at R.A. Williams, we believe that longevity isn't just about adding more years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. To help us do that, we partner with some of the best pharmaceutical manufacturers in the world. For my segment, I'm proud to introduce you to Mankind Pharma. Mankind is a global pharmaceutical giant with a presence in over 34 international markets. More importantly, they have been ranked as the #1 prescribed brand for 8 consecutive years. Their philosophy is one we share at R.A. Williams, delivering world-class, high-quality care that remains accessible and affordable for the patients who need it most. When we think about keeping the engine running after 35, we spend a lot of time thinking about the internal mechanics, the heart, the blood vessels, but we can't forget about the body's chassis, our skin. As we age, changes in our immune system and metabolism can make our skin more vulnerable to persistent, frustrating fungal infections. For our doctors in the audience, you know that antifungal resistance is a growing headache. For patients, it means dealing with itching, redness, and discomfort that gets in the way of your daily performance. That is why mankind developed Certakine. Certakine is a 2% cetirizine cream, and it is much more than just a standard antifungal. It features a unique chemical structure, a benzothiophene ring that gives it a powerful triple effect all in one tube. First, it is a highly potent antifungal that aggressively targets and clears out the root cause of the infection. Second, it is a powerful anti-inflammatory, which means it rapidly reduces the angry red rashes on the skin. And third, and perhaps most importantly, for the patient's quality of life, it is highly antipruritic. That's a medical term that simply means it stops the itching and burning almost immediately. When compared in clinical studies to older treatments like terbinafine, Certakine shows profound superiority. It doesn't just clear the fungus. Studies show an 85% resolution in itching and a 95% resolution in redness, significantly outperforming older options. Whether you're a clinician looking for a reliable, fast-acting solution for your patients, or someone simply looking to feel comfortable in your own skin again, Certakine ensures that your body's exterior performs just as well as the engine inside. And for the clinicians joining us today, please note that Certakine is just one piece of mankind's comprehensive dermatological toolkit available through R.A. Williams. Whether your patients require potent systemic fungal support with CandiForce 100 milligrams, or targeted antibacterial and anti-inflammatory care with Bactifuse B, Mankind provides the high-quality, reliable tools you need to help your patients thrive. Thank you for your time. I'll now hand over to my colleague Martina Mallet, who will take us back under the hood to look at cellular performance.
Thank you, Kadami. Hello, everyone. I am Martina Mallet, also a medical representative with R.A. Williams Distributors. Continuing with our theme of keeping your engine running in peak condition, I am thrilled to introduce you to another one of our esteemed global partners, Forts Laboratories. For decades, Forts has been a pioneer in what we call integrative nutrapharma. They are absolute specialists in micronutrient and diabetes management. They understand that treating chronic conditions isn't just about suppressing symptoms. It's about providing the body with the exact fuel and structural support it needs to repair itself. If the heart is the engine of the body, then chronic conditions, especially diabetes and high blood sugar, are like running that engine constantly in the red zone. It causes the engine to run too hot. In medical terms, we call this oxidative stress. This internal wear and tear accelerates aging. It damages the beta cells in your pancreas that produce insulin. It damages your blood vessels, and it causes the body to rapidly burn through essential micronutrients like B vitamins, zinc, and chromium. When your body is starved of these nutrients, your engine misfires. You experience persistent fatigue, increased risk of heart complications, and nerve damage. To cool the engine down and replenish that vital fuel, Forts developed Forts B capsules. Forts B is not just another daily vitamin. It is a highly specialized master antioxidant formula designed specifically for cardio-metabolic support. Think of it as the premium synthetic oil and coolant your engine needs to survive high-stress environments. It produces a beta cell shield. Forts B contains a cysteine, glycine, and glutamate. Together, these three ingredients prompt the body to produce glutathione, which is the body's ultimate master antioxidant that actively protects your insulin-producing cells from burning out. Second, it acts as a metabolic fuel. It is packed with a therapeutic dose of B complex vitamins alongside with chromium and vanadium. These essential trace minerals act to mimic insulin, helping your body process sugar more efficiently and turning it into usable energy rather than letting it build up in your bloodstream. Finally, it ensures vascular integrity. With vitamin C, E, and D3, Forte B protects the lining of your blood vessels and supports a healthy immune system, which is critical for long-term heart health after 35. For the doctors joining us today, Forte B is an invaluable co-prescription to your standard diabetic and hypertensive treatments, and for the patients watching, it is the comprehensive nutritional support you need to fight fatigue, protect your heart, and keep you performing at your absolute best. Thank you so much for your attention today. We hope you enjoy the rest of the webinar. Please feel free to reach out to RA Williams Distributors to learn more about how Mankind and Forte can help you keep your engine running smoothly for decades to come.
Thank you so much. Our next sponsor is Pharma Science.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Give me a second here.
Sure.
Is everyone seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So good afternoon again. I am Shavani Green, medical representative from Pharma Science. And of course, in keeping with the theme, I just want to speak a little bit about our Pharma Science products and how they help to keep the engine running. So when we speak about keeping the engine running with quality products, Pharma Science doesn't cut corners when it comes to production, right? It is a company that has been around since 1983 with a broad and strict manufacturing process, all of which is highly regulated. And of course, let's speak a little bit about how these products help to keep the heart running. So just as the engine of a car needs quality, reliable products to keep it running efficiently, the heart requires quality products to maintain its performance. And at Pharmascience, we do supply a very robust line of products for cardiovascular health. And of course, these products particularly include unique products as well as unique strengths to better serve patients' needs and assist in a successful treatment plan. And we know in an ideal treatment setting, your medication must not only be efficacious, but also widely accessible to patients. And of course, this is a feature that is held by most PMS products. So when an engine is under extreme stress, it's overheating, it's revving too high, the electronic control unit functions exactly like our PMS carvedilol. Right? So our PMS carvedilol limits engine stress and reduces resistance. And it does this by providing a broad mechanism of action. Its alpha blocking properties combined with its beta blocking properties help to reduce vascular strain. It also provides antioxidant benefits. And of course, this is 10 times as potent as vitamin E in reducing your free radicals. And of course, this helps to fight against your oxidative stress.
Excuse me, Ms. Green. The audience is saying they prefer to see your face a little better. Is that for how they're seeing it,
My
which
face,
is
you're not seeing the PowerPoint?
She has
no, we're
on
seeing the PowerPoint. We're
Yes.
seeing the PowerPoint, but people wanted to see you well as well. So I was wondering if that was just part of the presentation and how you're doing it,
Okay, so
blurred
you're
or
out
seeing both
background.
me and the PowerPoint?
No, your virtual background, your pharmaceuticals logo, is blocking your face, is what it is.
Okay.
But you'd have to stop your presentation to do that. So if you could just continue the presentation.
Continue then. They were
Okay.
questioning it and I didn't want to ignore them.
Okay, all right. I'll fix it afterwards. All right. So of course, it does provide those oxidative properties to fight against oxidative stress. And of course, there are a few studies to show that carvedilol does actually lower HbA1c. And of course, this is very beneficial to your patients who are diabetics, because we know, of course, a lot of your patients who are hypertensive are also diabetics. And this is evidenced in one of the most popular trials, which is our Gemini study. And of course, these dual actions together help to reduce peripheral vasoconstriction, and this results in better outcomes for your patients with congestive heart failure. And of course, this is our bioequivalence data comparing your PMS carvedilol 12.5 milligrams to the innovator, right? And this is measured against a 90% confidence interval. And as you can see, the values fall comfortably within the desired range. And this is another essential product. This is our PMS rosuvastatin, which would function as your high quality engine oil, right? Which would prevent future buildup and protect the engine from wear and tear. And it does this by reducing your low density lipoproteins as well as increasing your high density lipoproteins, right? It does provide a rapid and potent plaque regression. And because of it being hydrophilic, it does reduce your risk of your statin myopathy. And of course, in your Jupiter study, it did show that the patients on your PMS rosuvastatin would have a reduction in their overall incidences of cardiovascular events by as much as 50%. And again, this is our bioequivalence study comparing our PMS rosuvastatin 20 milligrams to the innovator, right? So you can see that it is not only chemically equivalent, but also therapeutically equivalent. Or PMS atenolol would function as your RPM limiter. This would prevent the engine from revving too high and keep it running at a more calmer, more efficient speed. And it does this by blocking your beta receptors in the heart muscles, reducing the workload on the heart. This in turn reduces your oxygen demand, and in your patients with the cardiac arrhythmias, it will help with your regulation. And of course, we do know that it is cardioprotective. In terms of antiplatelet therapy, or entropin would function as your fuel injector cleaner. This would prevent the debris from blocking and clogging your fuel lines, right? So it's our antiplatelet therapy, which prevents your platelets from sticking together. And this is effective in preventing both primary and secondary cardiovascular events. And of course, what is an engine without a filter? So this is our Solistat, is indicated for your patients with your hyperkalemia. So Solistat binds to the excess potassium so it can be excreted by the body, keeping the engine running smoothly and efficiently. And of course, our Solistat is available as an oral suspension as well as a powder that can be mixed and made into a suspension. This is a little illustration that shows, how the Solistat functions as a potassium filter, binding to the potassium ions so it can be excreted from the body. And of course, why choose PMS? So of course, PMS does supply high quality, pristine products. Our products are also cost effective. The patients won't go to a pharmacy and say that they can't afford a PMS products. There is evidence of efficacy. We do have bioequivalence studies for all our products. We normally have very good NHF coverage. A lot of our products are available on the VEN list. And of course, we do carry varying strengths for ease of titration, so your patients don't need to be breaking tablets. And of course, we do have unique strengths that are unique only to us, which is our PMS atenolol 25 milligrams, and of course our PMS carvedilol 3.125. All right. So those are our PMS products to keep the engine running. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Pharma Science. Thanks again. I am privileged to introduce our next speaker, who is Dr. Kathy Ann Pate Robinson. She is brilliant, a beautiful person, inside and out. She completed her MBBS at the University of West Indies and had her internship in Jamaica and the Bahamas. She actually did her training in wellness in Japan in 2007 and subsequently completed her DM in internal medicine, followed by a fellowship in infectious diseases at UWI. She's currently a consultant and associate lecturer at the Department of Medicine at UWI, where she manages the clinical services at chairs and sits on the Institutional Infection Prevention and Control Committee. She's a member of many learned societies, including Infectious Disease Society of America, HIV Medical Association, the International Society of Infectious Disease, and MAJ Medical Association of Jamaica. She has done much research. Some of it includes sickle cell hepatopathy, sepsis, chikungunya, and cervical cancer in PL HIV. She is married, has 2 boys, and is an avid reader, and loves food. Welcome, Dr. Kathy Ann Pate Robinson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gauze. All right, and let me see if I can share my slides with you. Are you able to see them?
Yes.
Right. I think we better get started. Okay, so we are talking about being healthier. We all want to be healthier. We want to not be sick. None of us want to be in hospital. And, you know, when we look at what's happening in life, in medicine, modern medicine is shifting. We used to react to things. We used to call our clinics curative clinics because after you get sick and then you come into the doctor, then we're trying to fix you with, limited success because damage has already happened. And we're trying to be more proactive as a whole medical fraternity, as people interested in health and supposed to be providing health or help to be healthy. So we, before we could extend your lifespan, but we weren't extending your health span, your years being healthy. And that is the greater focus now, which is why JMHS is even having this symposium, because we all need to work hard to be healthy and to live longer as healthy people. So we are going to talk about lifestyle factors, and then Dr. Riley is going to go into more of the medical aspects. We're going to look at how nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management all play a role, and what are some of the evidence-based approaches to optimize these activities that we do every day so that we can maintain our health. Now, while genetic inheritance kind of sets our baseline risk, our genetics are not everything. What we do, what we eat, what we drink, how we rest, how we manage stress, how often and what types of exercise we do change our outcomes. And there are large population studies that show that these daily lifestyle choices dictate up to 80% of our health span and our lifespan outcome. That means, 8 out of 10, the things that you're eating, drinking, doing, or not doing are going to make or break your ability to stay healthy for the rest of your life. and if we're in the middle years, the midlife, then we likely already have some amount of built up damages. So we can't afford to look at our nutrition, our exercise, our habits as stressful, difficult things. We have to approach them with some hope and some energy, because these are the habits that, if we master them, will take us forward in a much better state, avoiding damages, avoiding, more medication and more problems. So these habits put together all work with our medications to catch up the damages that we already have.
Gillian, just call Gillian.
So the physiologic, meaning, how your body works and how it manages itself, the physiologic foundation of a long functional life rests on two pillars, essentially, from the data that we have from recent studies over the past couple of decades: cardiorespiratory fitness and muscular integrity. So, we often hear about aerobic exercise and cardiovascular fitness. So we understand that a little better in keeping the lungs functioning. But we can't afford to forget muscular integrity, because there is a large pool of data showing that if you lose your muscles too early, you lose your health. So this cardiorespiratory fitness is measured by oxygen intake. We talk about the cardiorespiratory fitness as a shield against heart and blood vessel decay. But simultaneously, if we can maintain strong active muscles, then that helps to prevent insulin resistance. So it reduces the issues with diabetes. It reduces the development of diabetes. It prevents metabolic issues, and it prevents physical frailty. A lot of people now, because of poor activity and poor muscle mass, as they get older, are becoming frail. So you're more likely to fall, more likely to trip, more likely to break a bone, and then your recovery is so much harder. So these are all important factors. Now, when we look on these factors and these pillars, when we look on these pillars of longevity, the age-related decline of these systems is not really as unavoidable as it seems. It's not that the consequences of getting older are harmless, but progressive process characterized by stiffening blood vessels, declining cell energy, and muscle wasting all contribute to decline of our cardiovascular systems, of our muscle power. And we get declining cell energy, reduced healing, and that is going to have an impact on any little injury that we have and on preventing injury. So preventing this decline requires a clear understanding of the structural changes that happen in our body, in our tissues over time. As we age, blood vessels naturally lose their elasticity and they stiffen. So if your blood vessels are stiffer, if your pipes are narrow because they have plaque, they're stiffer so they don't flex with blood flow as they're supposed to, then we're going to have higher blood pressures. We're going to have increased risk of stroke and heart attack. And that whole process of plaque development is called atherosclerosis. And at the same time, the muscles are undergoing structural decay because they're getting reduced blood flow. And if they're not being used, they're losing fast twitch fibers. And then you accumulate fat within the muscle tissue. And this double decline leads to a rapid fall off in your physical stamina and increases the risk of functional disability. So to counter this, we have to target specific measurable markers of physical fitness, not just the cardiovascular fitness. Peak oxygen consumption, or your VO2, right, is the maximum volume of oxygen your body can use during intense exercise. And it stands as one of the most powerful predictors of cardiovascular health and overall survival. I'm so sorry, I keep switching. It's measured in milliliters of oxygen consumed per kilogram of body weight per minute, and it reflects the combined performance of your lungs, your heart, your blood, and your muscles. Clinical data shows that moving from the lowest fitness group to the highest reduces the risk of death from all causes by about 50%. So imagine you can cut your risk of dying in half by becoming physically fit and active at your optimal level. And that outperforms classic risk factors like smoking, high blood pressure, and diabetes. If we are to control diabetes and high blood pressure, and we're to stop smoking if we do smoke, we still can't achieve a 50% risk reduction if you combine all those factors. So that just speaks to how important it is for us to make the effort to engage in healthy activity. Our aerobic limit is going to have an impact on our power and how exercise is able to build power. So our aerobic limit is determined by how much blood the heart can pump. That's called the stroke volume, and how efficiently muscles extract oxygen from the blood. So consistent aerobic training physically expands the heart's main pumping chamber, improves its flexibility, allowing it to pump more blood with less effort. So it conditions your heart to be more efficient. And at the same time, exercise is increasing the density or the number of tiny blood vessels or capillaries that are going directly into the smallest areas of our muscles and the energy producing mitochondria in the muscles. So in the long run, building a high physical ability in midlife, and most of us are in midlife, creates a physical safety buffer. It's delaying the point where basic daily tasks are going to feel exhausting because now we have more capacity. But building up to that capacity is a little painful, I know. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot harder than when we were in our 20s. In our 20s, it was easy. It's not easy anymore, but it is worth it. So when we look at our physical activity, there are a lot of videos out there about different things. You can do high intensity workouts. You can do short bursts of moderate intensity workouts. And there's all this information online on what you can do. But if you overdo it, it can be almost as bad as underdoing it. So this side is just really talking about the relationship between your weekly exercise volume and the reduction in cardiovascular death risk. And if you go over 600 minutes per week, you kind of head into the exhaustion zone where you're utilizing too much of your resources and you're going for diminishing returns. So it's important to be as active as you can, but you should not overdo it. So the baseline recommendation is 150 to 300 minutes of moderate exercise per week. Now, moderate exercise is not a slow, driving Miss Daisy kind of walk. You have to break a sweat. You have to, and not a sweat because it's so hot, because I know the heat is killing all of us, but breaking a sweat from the level of activity. So if you already go outside and you're sweating, you have to double that sweating. So you better carry a bottle of water with you too. So this initial change, right, moving from completely inactive to at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week, that can drop your heart-related mortality risk or death risk by 20%. Proving that even small, consistent additions of movement provide massive benefits to previously inactive individuals. And increasing from 150 to 300 minutes yields an even greater 35% reduction in cardiovascular risk, representing what is considered by the current data the ideal target for most health strategies for the average person. And while the benefits begin to level off past 300, risk reduction continues to improve up to 600 minutes a week, plateauing around 40 to 42% of risk reduction. But for longevity-focused care, operating at these higher volumes can be safe. It does build a deep physical reserve, but we each have to look at our capacity. Sorry, if you're starting at zero activity, you can't go from 0 to 60 in a day or a week or a month. You have to gradually build your capacity so you can increase that cardiovascular fitness and muscle fitness and your tolerance for a greater intensity of activity. because we want moderate intensity activity. So moderate intensity aerobic exercise, some people refer to it as zone 2 training, such as brisk walking, light cycling, is highly sustainable. Almost anyone can do it, and it carries a very low risk of injury. So walking or cycling at a low enough intensity that you can manage to go continuously through half an hour to an hour, you will break a sweat, but you don't have to stop puffing and puffing. That is something that all of us can do unless we have certain specific limitations. And that level of effort is highly effective because it relies primarily on fat burning within slow twitch muscle fibers. And that leaves your glucose stores alone, and it prevents the rapid buildup of lactic acid. So putting in the time for a longer exercise session at a moderate intensity will yield more benefits even for your weight loss goals than if you are to do one of those high intensity, short duration workouts. They have their benefits, but for longevity and cardiovascular fitness and muscle strength, then moderate and for longer works out better for most of us. And we will have more effective weight loss and fat burning. Plus, you have to build muscles to effectively lose fat because the muscles are going to consume the fat. So we have a lot of work to do with that. The primary physical benefit of moderate exercise is also driven by the physical force of blood moving through the arteries, stimulating the release of nitric oxide, which is a relaxation compound. So the muscles in the vessels dilate and relax, and that drops your blood pressure, and it helps to reduce your risk of strokes and heart attacks. So all of these activities in various small ways at the level of our tissues are improving our function as we exercise regularly. Now, sarcopenia is a progressive age-related loss of muscle mass, quality, and strength. And that is one of the biggest threats to independent living as we get older. We don't just need muscles for movement, they're metabolic organs. They clear out sugar out of our bloodstream, they burn fat. They help us with managing what we took in from our meals. And starting around age 50, muscle mass declines by 1% to 2% annually, with absolute muscle power dropping even faster. And so that wasting process leads to poor blood sugar control, worse balance, and a heightened vulnerability to falls. So we want to reverse that decline with resistance training. Weight-bearing exercises activate key muscle-building cellular pathways, reversing fiber shrinkage so the muscles can stop shrinking and start building, and restoring the nervous system's ability to call on those muscle fibers and recruit them, okay? So all of this is important. Let's skip a slide. Okay, so we take a 2-second pause for a quick question. Exercise science, right? We've been talking about exercise science. So to optimize longevity and functional capacity, which physiologic profile is most strongly associated with the greatest mortality reduction? And I think you all should hopefully have gotten it from what we talked about, but if you didn't, it's here in a summary version. We want to prioritize high VO2 max, high relative skeletal muscle mass. So we want the aerobic exercise, moderate intensity, longer periods of time, and weight-bearing weight training for skeletal muscles. So we want a combined exercise program, okay? So what about dietary chemistry and metabolic regulation? So dietary chemistry, what we eat and what it does once it gets into our bloodstream, regulates metabolism, blood pressure, cholesterol, and muscle growth. Food is more than just calories. Those molecules that we consume send signals. Our body is a chemical environment. So the food is also signaling to our body what it should do. And sometimes those signals are negative, sometimes they're damaging. And hypertension, diabetes are lifestyle-related diseases. What we do, what we eat, what we don't do, what we don't eat, what we drink or don't drink, how much rest we get, how much exercise we get, all of that is changing our chemical and physical makeup and signaling whether we're going to get older faster, die younger, have heart attacks, have strokes, or not. And that's on top of our genetic risk. But some of us have more genetic risk than others. And it may be related to our ethnicity, but it may be genes like cancer genes and other things. So we really need to balance our intake and not have too many lipids, we should be avoiding saturated fats, because the type of fat we eat dictates how cholesterol is transported around our body and whether it gets deposited in the blood vessels to create atherosclerotic plaque, or whether it's transported for processing and breakdown and storage, whether it accumulates in the vessel walls or whether it goes to the liver to be removed from the circulation. And we want that fat to be removed from the circulation. We want a balance of sodium and potassium to help to control the resting tension in our blood vessels so it does not promote high blood pressure. So fresh fruits and vegetables that are high in potassium are a critical part of our diet. Now, I think most people have heard about saturated fat and unsaturated fat. So saturated fats are found in fatty meats and butter. They have a rigid molecular structure, and that can give the liver a challenge for the cholesterol filtration and processing. So that leads to higher levels of circulating LDL, which, typically is considered your bad cholesterol. It's not absolute that LDL is bad and HDL is good, but the balance between them matters, and you want both to be in a good balance where you have a positive HDL balance and a lower LDL balance, because the higher the LDL and the lower the HDL, the more fatty plaque is going to build up in your blood vessels and cause strokes and heart attacks. And apolipoprotein B is linked to that whole process as well, because it's a complex network of fatty compounds. Your apolipoproteins and your cholesterols work together. And these are the primary proteins that are found on heart damaged particles. Whereas unsaturated fats, things, like the fats you find in unheated, unprocessed olive oil and coconut oil, avocados and nuts, possesses a more flexible structure, and the liver can process them better and protect your circulation. So the macronutrient balance, we mentioned this already, but higher sodium intake is going to lead to increased vascular resistance, higher blood pressure, and more damage to your circulation. That's going to promote fatty plaque development or atherosclerosis, and it's going to increase your risk of heart attacks and strokes. Potassium being high in fresh fruits and vegetables is a necessary component to balance out that sodium, so that the sodium and potassium can be in the right balance to relax the muscles, to relax the blood vessels, and allow for good blood flow and less damage. So, and high sodium also depletes nitric oxide, and that in itself causes arteries to stiffen. So we need to have that better balance of potassium from the foods that we're eating and lower sodium from the foods that we're eating. So avoiding all those processed foods, tin foods, and reading the packages. Now, as we age, our muscles experience anabolic resistance, or reduced sensitivity to the proteins we get from our diet and to exercise signals. So small amounts of protein are enough to build your muscle when you're young, but older adults require higher concentration of essential amino acids, especially leucine, to trigger the body's muscle building machinery. It's just harder to build muscle when you're older. So overcoming this resistance is crucial to prevent natural muscle wasting that threatens physical independence. But we don't want to be depending on other people when we get there. That's just not a part of the plan. And we don't know what our family are going to be or do, and we don't know whether we will have the support we have now. So to maintain muscle mass, guidelines recommend that older adults consume 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, okay? And that it should be spread evenly across your meals to protect both your muscles and the heart. The protein should be lean protein. We don't want a lot of fat with the protein. So if you are eating a lot of red meat or pork that have a higher fat content, if you're frying your foods and you're having more processed foods that are higher in fat, then you are going to not get lean protein, and you're going to increase some of the negative dietary sources of cholesterol. So which strategy is most effective to simultaneously reduce cardiovascular disease risk and preserve independent daily function. So you need a higher lean protein intake combined with a greater proportion of unsaturated fats rather than saturated fats, with more potassium in our diet from natural sources and less sodium. And that is a critical part of maintaining our physical function. What about sleep? It's important to look at the relationship between sleep patterns, biological rhythms, and cardiovascular health. Sleep isn't a passive state of inactivity, but it's very active. Your body is in repair mode when you go to sleep. And it's a highly regulated process. It's essential for physical repair, essential for brain recovery. If you don't get sleep, you start to have memory issues, functional challenges, you have pains you didn't know you were going to have, and your ability to maintain your activities of daily living takes a nosedive. So during the normal sleep cycle, the body undergoes predictable shifts in hormone levels, heart rate, blood pressure that directly support cardiovascular recovery and overall cellular health. And during deep, non-rapid eye movement sleep, the nervous system shifts into a relaxed state, causing heart rate and blood pressure to naturally drop, a phenomenon known as nocturnal dipping. And that temporary reduction in blood pressure relieves pressure on the blood vessels, allowing them to recover from the daily stresses. So interrupting your restorative sleep process with poor sleep quality, frequent waking up, inconsistent sleep schedule. So you go to bed at 8 o'clock tonight and midnight tomorrow, then that promotes chronic vascular damage and accelerated aging. Don't get it twisted. You need to sleep. So there's kind of a U-shaped relationship between sleep duration and cardiovascular risk. If you have too little sleep, it's bad. If you have too much sleep, it's also bad. So the studies that have been done show that the lowest risk of heart issues is observed when you have between 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. A lot of people think, okay, well, I didn't sleep for the last week, so I'm going, I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep a night, so I'm going to sleep for 10 hours today. But that kind of catch-up system doesn't really work out. And it's better to maintain a regular pattern with regular sleep times and wake-up times. And sleeping less than 6 hours per night triggers chronic stress hormone release. Okay? And that raises resting blood pressure. You get cortisol and adrenaline driving all the systems, increases inflammation, and impairs blood sugar control. Conversely, regularly sleeping more than 9 hours is also associated with increased risk. So even though sleeping longer is not going to, directly kill you, it often happens because of either poor and inconsistent habits or that you have disease processes that are interfering with sleep. And so it's usually looked as an indicator that things are also not good. So sleep regularity, we mentioned that. It's important for your circadian rhythm, your normal hormonal cycle that manages your blood pressure and your blood sugar and your function, your wake-up ability, your autonomic stability, your body's automatic processes able to be maintained on their own without you ending up with difficulties, and myocardial recovery so that your blood pressure and your heart can manage. So which sleep profile is most strongly associated with the lowest risk of hypertension and subclinical atherosclerosis? I think everybody can answer that by now. So I don't think we need to beat a dead horse on this one. So what about psychocardiology and autonomic stress? Yeah, big ugly words, right? But the linkage between what's going on up here and what's going on in the heart, okay? So the field of psychocardiology explores the biological connections between mental stress, emotional health, and cardiovascular disease. And the brain-heart axis is a bidirectional communication pathway. So yes, your psychological state will have an impact on your cardiovascular health, but your cardiovascular health also has an impact on your psychological state. Chronic mental stress is an independent major risk factor for heart disease, and it's comparable in impact to traditional risk factors like smoking or high blood pressure. So high stress level high stress hormone levels lead to high inflammation, increased blood pressure, increased risk. If you don't manage it, then you will suffer damages. We all will. So we have to manage it better. So we have to try to avoid consistent long-term periods of chronic stress because they're very debilitating, both for our cardiovascular health and our muscle management. We will lose muscle mass in that setting because we're consuming muscles to boost the ability to fight or to fly. And that can, over a long period of time, lead to much more loss than we realize. So prolonged psychological stress causes the stress response system to remain constantly activated, leading to sustained cortisol. The immune cells become numb to cortisol, impairing the body's ability to regulate inflammatory responses. And that hormonal imbalance leads to upregulation of pro-inflammatory proteins. So you get a chronic low-grade systemic inflammatory state that damages your blood vessels, consumes your muscles, and just throws off all your internal balances. So and then if you have a sudden spike in blood pressure in that setting, you're very likely to have a stroke or a heart attack. So don't worry, we're winding up, we're almost done. I know, I'm a little over time. So workplace recovery and blood pressure recovery. We're looking at the health impact of workplace strain. Stress is a bigger component of our lives now in our daily work activities. It's a lot harder to get things done. There are less resources available. The stress is real. And that workplace strain, typically characterized by high demands paired with low personal control over our tasks, leads to emotional distress, physical distress, and that chronic stress hormone release, chronic inflammation. We talked about what all of that is going to do, but we're also getting prolonged nervous system hyperarousal. And that constant state of alertness prevents our blood pressure from dropping normally during sleep. It's impairing our sleep quality and our ability to recover from the stresses of the day. And that over time is very debilitating to our cardiovascular health. And it puts too much mechanical stress on our system. Financial worry contributes, aging parents, sick children, all these things. And if we are also impacted in our personal health because we have dietary and other lifestyle challenges, we have overweight or obesity, then we're adding insult to injury, and the body can only manage so much. So if we're not careful to manage our psychological stresses from whatever source, then and if we need help, then we're going to suffer more physical damages. And that's going to lead to more psychological damages. That's a vicious cycle nobody wants. Now, a lot of us are caring for our elders, whether they're close in age to us or not, doesn't matter, but people with reduced capacity that we are trying not to lose. So providing long-term care for a spouse or relative is much more common now than it was 20 years ago. It feels like everybody's checking out fast. So that's an overlooked source of chronic physical strain, prolonged emotional and physical exhaustion, causes severe hormone imbalances, high systemic inflammation. I feel like a broken record now because all of these things are doing the same negative issues with our body. Population data show that spousal caregivers aged 66 to 96, and imagine to 96. And that is happening to people that you know, and maybe some of you who experience high caregiving stress face a 63% higher mortality rate than non-caregiving peers of the same age, highlighting the physical cost of caregiver burden. And social isolation and chronic loneliness are similarly toxic to the heart, acting as a major risk factor for premature mortality. As we get older and our friends are dying or moving away and we're losing our support network, that puts us in a situation of social isolation and chronic loneliness, and it's very toxic to our mental health. So we have to find ways to step out of our comfort zone and engage with our community and enlarge our community if we have to. Sometimes you just have to find new people to keep up with. So there are a lot of evidence-based coping mechanisms designed to reduce the physical toll of stress on the body, Longevity is not simply a function of avoiding stress, but you have to utilize active adaptive coping strategies. We keep getting hit with different things that we don't know how to deal with, but there's always a way to manage it. Sometimes you can do it on your own. Sometimes you turn to prayer more than anything else because you really don't have anything else. Sometimes you go and get counseling. Some of us need a drug catch-up because we really are not coping well. And if you're not coping well, it's better to be honest with yourself and attack it head on, because then you can get it under control and get back to the life that you want. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, there we go. We're almost done. Last few slides. So, how do chronic psychological stressors independently elevate cardiovascular risk? Stress hormone imbalance, inflammation, high blood pressure, lack of recovery. I think you guys got that. So we need to have a unified framework that integrates these various lifestyle pillars that we talked about: nutrition, sleep, stress management, and exercise into our lifestyle in a comprehensive way so that we can protect our cardiorespiratory function, our muscle mass, our metabolic function, our circadian rhythm, and promote good emotional systems so that we can cope better with the physical stresses, and so the physical stresses don't derail our emotional and psychological state. So I think we can, well, I'll run through this very briefly. A structured daily timeline is important. Having a regular schedule may not seem like much, but your body is better when it runs on a regular clock. It will have predictable hormonal management. It will maintain a smoother internal environment, and your chemical balance and your hormonal balance will be better. So it is, it's better when we have a regular sleep pattern, because then we maintain a normal circadian rhythm and our body knows what to expect and it manages it better. So day begins at 7 with the circadian sync, focusing on morning wake-up times. At 12, the focus shifts to musculoskeletal support. Late afternoon, maybe 5 o'clock, you need to be dedicated to building your aerobic base. Don't exercise too late because it will wake you up. But it's better to exercise at a regular time. Your body will get used to it than not exercise at all, even if it's late. My exercise happens at 8 o'clock at night, so that's when I can. These are things that we just need to do our best to engage with. We can do it. We just have to want to do it and to make the effort. Make every effort that you can. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peyton Robinson. Excellent presentation. I'll start with the first question. Please, everybody, post your questions in the Q&A. And Sam, look out because I'll expect you to read them. But I'll pose the first question, which you mentioned potassium, but didn't talk much about magnesium. Any comments?
So I couldn't go through everything, but
True.
Magnesium is something that we don't often keep any awareness of, but it does have an important part of our whole internal management. Magnesium is important for muscle function, cardiovascular function, all our electrical tissues and our nervous system. And it is particularly, yes, it's particularly associated with relaxation of skeletal muscles and with sleep quality. So people who are low in magnesium are more likely to have poor sleep quality, which is why magnesium supplementation is becoming very popular, especially at night. Although magnesium oxide, which is the most common version, is not very absorbable from the blood. So it's better to have citrate or glycinate. And then it's important to request a magnesium test. An executive profile doesn't check your magnesium, so you don't know. It is also important for people who have seizure disorders and other nervous system problems, because it can have an impact on that. So it's something that we can ask our doctor to do, let's do a magnesium test. Let me see what my magnesium is, and then you can always adjust your diet or take supplements at night, and that may help with your sleep quality if you have an issue with that.
And as you're talking about all the foods, like our coconut water is high in potassium and magnesium, and So stuff like that. I think Dr. Arna Brown, do you want to ask your question in person, Arna, since you can open?
The question was typed in the chat. Are the powder protein supplements helpful in maintaining body muscle mass as we age?
So I've gone through many cycles of thoughts on this. Forgive me, but they can be very helpful. But you have to look at the packaging, you have to look at what is in there. A lot of them have a lot of sugars. Some of them have a lot of sugar substitutes, which some people's gut does not tolerate very well. And so it's important to read the back of the package to see what the source of the proteins are to make sure it's good quality, reasonably healthy, that it's low in fat and low in sugars. And so you may have to do a little research. But when you're having difficulty maintaining enough protein intake, adding protein powder to your green smoothie might be a easy way for you to get more protein into your diet, especially if you have a lower appetite and it's hard for you to eat enough. Like you're not going to eat more than one piece of chicken for the day, then maybe it might be worth it to blend a green smoothie, fling everything in there, fling some fruits in with the vegetables, put in your protein, and make sure you drink a lot of water. The more protein you have, the more water you have to consume. So, and if you're working out and doing resistance training, then you may need to make that effort to boost with a protein supplement in one of your shakes for the day. It can be helpful if you can't get enough protein otherwise, because basic maintenance is 1 to 2 milligrams per kilogram, and that can be difficult to maintain. A medium-sized egg is between 4 and 6 grams of protein. And if you need to get 120 grams of protein for the day, it's going to be a little hard. A
Thank you so
small
much.
You can
can
also
of
add a,
chicken is like 15 grams.
I was going to say you can also, since we're in Jamaica, I'm trying to get people to eat Jamaican, add some moringa, which
A
has
lot of, yeah, a lot
amino
of
acids.
greens, depending, not lettuce. Please don't get it twisted, not lettuce. Kale
Moringa.
and spinach and moringa and a lot of other things like that have a decent amount of protein. Although not everybody tolerates all of them, but you have options with that. There was a message in the Q&A about the circadian
So
for
the
nighttime
question,
workers. Hmm?
right, and I think it covers the question that's in the chat as well. So how do shift workers reduce their cardiovascular risk since their circadian rhythm is altered?
So that one is a little difficult, especially if you have rotating schedules. The best thing that you can do in that setting is still try to maintain a regular habit. So if you know you're on the night shift, then do your best to set up your room maybe with blackout curtains and preferably with a quiet environment so you can go home and get your night's sleep comfortably in the day, if at all possible. Because if you maintain a standard rhythm, your body adjusts to it better and you won't disrupt your circadian rhythm as much. It's not that it isn't a disruption, but you'd reduce the amount of disruption that would occur. I mean, you know, we still have to work to eat and pay bills.
Thank you so much. I think that's it for the questions. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Kathy and Pay
There's one
Robinson.
more question. Sam, one more question.
Go ahead,
Is
Doctor.
Irish potato a good source of protein? That's from Dr. Brown Morgan.
Not really. Most of the ground produce will have a little bit of protein. They are roots, but they are not very high in protein. So you're mostly getting starch. They're better starches than rice and surely better than bread and crackers because those are immediate sugar boosting. You don't want that. So they're more complex carbohydrates, but as a source of protein, not so much.
Okay, thanks again, Dr. Pate Robinson. Next, we're going to go over to our sponsors again. Excellent, excellent presentation. Our next sponsor is MSN Laboratory, Jamaica Private Limited.
So we're going to have MSN followed by Apex, and then we're going to have Mr. Paul Russell from Abbott go live. All three sponsors will go back to back, and then we'll go back to Dr. Lisa, who will introduce the moderator for the second session. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ronaldo Ramsey, Product Manager at MSN Laboratories Jamaica Private Limited, and it is indeed a pleasure for me to speak to you today on some of our products. Now, MSN Laboratories is driven by one mission: research for better medicines. Today, MSN has grown into one of the leading pharmaceutical companies with operations in over 100 countries, supported by over 25 plus manufacturing facilities, world-class research centers, and a rapidly expanding global presence. As you can see, our continued investment in research, manufacturing excellence, and quality assurance has allowed us to become a trusted global pharmaceutical company. Now we'll take a look at three of our products: Pregasafe, Febuday, and Silarel. Now let's start with Pregasafe, pregabalin 75 mg and 150 mg capsules. First line in the treatment of neuropathic pain. Lets patients step out pain-free. Now, neuropathic pain restricts patients. It restricts movement, daily activity, sleep quality, and overall quality of life. It's not just a nerve issue. Now, Pregasafe, or pregabalin molecule, has enhanced efficacy and safety, as it is the S-enantiomer form of the molecule, the purer form of the molecule with a 99% purity. It also offers ensured reliability for patients with the bioequivalence data to the innovator products. Assured quality, as Pregasafe was the first generic approved by the US FDA. Now, in terms of the studies on Pregasafe, it shows that 51% of users reported feeling much better or much more improvements in their daily activities, therefore improving the quality of life. And 35% of patients reported improvement in their sleep pattern from week 1 of the initiation of therapy. Now, pain relief, as we say, with Pregasafe begins within the first week of treatment and provides sustained benefits throughout the therapeutic period, therefore providing a fast and consistent pain relief to our patients. Now, in terms of dosage and administration, the recommended starting dose is 75 mg BID, which can be titrated up to 150 mg BID within a week, and the maximum dose recommended is 300 mg BID. Now, Pregasafe again assists your patients in terms of stepping out pain-free. Now, in terms of the management of hyperuricemia, we have Febuday, febuxostat 40 mg and 80 mg tablets for an active day. Now, hyperuricemia is said to be a silent threat in cardiac health. In fact, patients with hyperuricemia have a 20 to 40% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Additionally, higher serum uric acid levels also leads to rapid decline in renal function. Now, in the management of hyperuricemia, Febuday, febuxostat, provides superior efficacy, faster sustained uric acid control, and fewer drug-drug interactions. In terms of its superior efficacy, it reduces the serum uric acid levels below 6 mg per deciliter within 2 weeks. Additionally, there is rapid onset of action and stable 24-hour xanthine oxidase inhibition, providing that faster and sustained uric acid control. And there is minimal interaction with diuretics, ACE inhibitors, ARBs, and other antihypertensive medications that patients may use. Now, gout is not just episodic pain. It is a chronic crystal disease where the uric acid crystals harden or accumulate within the joints. Now, with febuxostat and its properties in terms of reducing the uric acid levels, we can untie the knot in gout management. Now, the starting dose recommended for febuxostat is 40 mg once daily, and for patients with serum uric acid levels above 6 mg per deciliter after 2 weeks who are on the 40 mg, that can be titrated up to 80 mg once daily. Now, in terms of the comparison with the age-old molecule that we've used, febuxostat provides superior efficacy, superior benefits. Now, in terms of its selective xanthine oxidase inhibition, this provides better efficacy and lower risk of side effects when compared to allopurinol. Even in terms of the dosage, you find that febuxostat 40 or 80 mg is better for patient compliance when compared to the 100 to 300 mg dosage for allopurinol. Febuxostat also has an 85% drug absorption, thus providing faster action and better efficacy. It also has a dual excretion mechanism via hepatic and renal pathways, and there is also no dose adjustment in mild to moderate renal insufficiency, thus making febuxostat better for renal impairment with less dose adjustments in chronic kidney disease. And overall, febuxostat is much better tolerated in patients at standard doses, thus ensuring patient compliance. Now our next brand, Silaril, silodosin 4 mg and 8 mg capsules, is indicated in the management of lower urinary tract symptoms due to BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. This is our uroselective alpha blocker, providing trouble-free urination to patients. Now, an interesting fact is that 64% of women surveyed complained of inadequate sleep due to their partner's BPH symptoms, the nocturia, or the frequent urination at nights. Now, in elderly nocturnal polyuria patients, silodosin has shown significant improvement in nocturia, reducing it by around 14%, thus reducing the frequency of urination at night. In addition to that, Silaril also provides relief from symptoms within 3 to 4 days, a reduction in IPSS score of negative 6.6 at 12 weeks, which is significant there, as well as better sustained flow rate, with a Qmax increase of 2.8 milliliters per second with the first dose, and a mean BOI decrease by 53%. Now, in the management of these lower urinary tract symptoms, you find that Silaril has the highest uroselectivity profile when compared to the other alpha blockers on the market, binding with high affinity to the alpha-1A subtype as opposed to the alpha-1B or 1D subtypes, which are much more implicated in the cardiovascular side effects. Thus, Silaril has an increased cardiovascular safety when compared to the other molecules. Silaril has proven safety in elderly men with hypertensive medication, as well as rapid and sustainable symptomatic improvement in these patients, and again, significantly improves nocturia. Now, the recommended dosage for Silaril is 4 mg and 8 mg once daily. Now, you can reduce the dosage to 4 mg in patients with moderate to severe renal impairment. Now, that is it for the 3 molecules we want to highlight today. Pregasafe, first line in the treatment of neuropathic pain, Silaril in the management of lower urinary tract symptoms due to BPH, and Febuday in the management of hyperuricemia and gout. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. My name is Dr. Lauren Young. I'm a radionuclide radiologist at Apex Radiology. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this conference. Today, my presentation will be SPECT myocardial perfusion imaging. SPECT myocardial perfusion imaging is a nuclear cardiology study that uses gamma rays to provide a three-dimensional cardiac image. It is a non-invasive test that assesses myocardial perfusion during stress and rest. SPECT MPI provides physiological assessment of coronary blood flow, and as an ECG-gated study, it provides functional data including wall motion, thickness, and ejection fraction. SPECT MPI can be used in the evaluation of chest pain or anginal equivalents. It is useful in the assessment of shortness of breath, possibly due to ischemia, and can be used to risk assess patients in known cases of coronary artery disease. SPECT MPI can also be used for preoperative cardiac risk assessment and for the evaluation of patients after angiography, angioplasty, or coronary artery bypass grafts, especially with patients with recurrent symptoms. SPECT MPI can detect coronary artery disease and can differentiate between inducible myocardial ischemia or infarction. or areas of scarring. It can assess the severity and extent of the ischemia. As depicted in this image, normal uptake of the radiotracer in the myocardium shows a homogeneous pattern with no change between the rest and stress images. If there is a previous myocardial infarction or an area of scarring, there is no uptake in the affected region on both stress and rest. In cases of myocardial ischemia, there is diminished uptake in the ischemic myocardium on the stress images with reperfused myocardium on the rest images. Stress MPI can be very useful in the outpatient evaluation of chest pain. It is useful in patients with intermediate risk. It can reduce unnecessary invasive testing and provide long-term prognostic information that can help management. Stress MPI or SPECT MPI can help with risk stratification criteria. A normal SPECT MPI scan confers a very low annualized risk of a major adverse cardiac event of less than 1 to 1.5% chance. Conversely, an abnormal scan indicates a multifocal increased risk of a major cardiac event. The classification can be classified with such metrics as the SSS score or the summed stress score, which classifies as mild, moderate, or severe risk. It can tell ischemia versus scarring, which simply puts patients at a higher risk of acute coronary syndromes, and scarring can show fixed defects that predict the risk of death or heart failure. Other high-risk indicators can be found on SPECT MPI, such as left ventricular dysfunction or low ejection fractions, abnormal lung uptake, and even transient ischemic dilation. SPECT MPI can guide decisions regarding angiography or revascularization. It can detect patients with flow-limiting coronary stenosis who will achieve symptomatic or prognostic benefits from revascularization and help decide between stents or bypass, and those better suited for medical therapy. SPECT MPI uses radiotracers such as technetium-99 sestamibi or tetraphosphamine, and the uptake is equivalent to areas of perfusion. Areas of reduced perfusion appear as defects, as shown on the image below. On the rest scan, there's homogeneous perfusion, and on the stress scan, there's absent perfusion in the anterior wall. SPECT MPI uses stress and rest images. Stress methods include exercise, treadmill stressing, which is preferred if feasible as it provides functional capacity and ECG data. Pharmacological stress is available for patients who cannot adequately exercise, and common agents used include regadenoson, adenosine, and dobutamine. Contraindications for SPECT MPI include acute coronary syndrome or unstable angina, patients with severe symptomatic aortic stenosis, decompensated heart failure, uncontrolled arrhythmias, severe hypertension, or any contraindications of exercise or vasodilator stress. SPECT MPI is a simple test and the patient preparation is minimal. Common preparation advised includes fasting before the study, avoiding caffeine for 24 hours, and a quick review of the medications, and advice to wear comfortable clothing and shoes for exercise. The imaging technique performed includes performing the stress phase, commonly before the rest phase, with the radiotracer injected at peak stress. The gamma camera commonly acquires the images and they are reconstructed into short axis views, vertical and horizontal axis views. As depicted here, there is a normal SPECT MPI result with homogeneous radiotracer uptake through all walls of the myocardium. Depicted here, SPECT with a CT component offers additional attenuation correction and superimposed onto the CT images, which helps to identify territories. This SPECT MPI on this image shows an area of inducible ischemia with a perfusion defect on the stress image with normal uptake on the rest image, and correlation with a CT coronary angiogram showing an area of narrowing of the coronary artery. Limitations of SPECT MPI includes radiation exposure, attenuation artifacts, and reduced sensitivity in patients who are obese or due to large breast attenuation. In summary, the key takeaways for SPECT MPI: it's a cornerstone of non-invasive cardiac imaging for evaluation of patients with coronary artery disease. It's a non-invasive test that's available and affordable. It's validated for detection of coronary artery disease and has a high sensitivity. It is useful in diagnosis, prognosis, and management planning of coronary artery disease. Appropriate patient selection provides improved clinical value, and physicians play an important role in referral and interpretation context. Thank you so much for your attention.
Did you know your bones can lose strength without you feeling any symptoms? That's where a bone density scan comes in. A bone density scan, also called a DEXA scan, is a quick, painless test that measures how strong your bones are. It helps detect bone loss early, before any fractures happen. Your doctor may recommend a bone density scan if you're over 40, postmenopausal, have a family history of osteoporosis, low vitamin D levels, previous fractures, or if you're taking certain medications that affect bone strength. The scan is very simple. You lie comfortably on a table while a low-dose X-ray passes over areas like your hips and spines. There's no injections, no enclosed spaces, and best of all, there's no preparation required. Just make your appointment and come in. It is used to diagnose osteoporosis, assess fracture risks, and monitor your bone health over time. At Apex Radiology at the Woman's Place, caring for women's health is what we do. So ask your doctors about a bone density scan and contact us to make your appointment today. For appointments and queries, call 876-929-APEX. Apex Radiology, the clear choice for your diagnostic needs.
Mr. Russell, over to
Yes,
you.
are you seeing my Abbott logo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see my face. My name is Paul Russell. My camera decided to go on vacation today. But I'm grateful. I'm from Abbott Nutrition, by the way, and I'm grateful to JMHS Group for the opportunity to present on some of Abbott's products. My first question, though, is your diet measuring up to the recommended amount of protein each day? Or are we eating to support the health of our heart? According to studies, our recent study, approximately 42% of adults aged 51 and older, they just don't consume enough protein in their daily diet. Now, we know the obvious protein sources from animals, protein from animal sources, which would be eggs, milk, meat, poultry, and fish. And these provide high quality proteins. But nowadays, we're seeing where persons are opting for plant-based protein sources. And generally, they'll be lacking about 1 or 2 amino acids. So to fill in the gap, it's recommended to go the route of oral nutritional supplements. And here we present Ensure. Now, the first one we're looking at is Ensure Complete, which provides, it's ideal for your patients with cardiac, to boost cardiac health, your cancer patients, your COPD patients, your HIV patients, those requiring calories as well as protein. So it's calorically dense, 350 calories in 10 fluid ounces. It has 30 grams of quality protein. It's complete and balanced nutrition. It has dietary fiber, 4 grams per serving, and it has the appropriate amounts of vitamins and minerals, and it's gluten-free and suitable for lactose intolerance and comes in an array of flavors. If you're looking to support the heart, which is a muscle, with less calories, we go the route of Ensure Max Protein. It has 150 calories, 30 grams of protein, has dietary fiber, 4 grams, and comes in assorted flavors, and it's also gluten-free and suitable for lactose intolerance. And for your vegans, vegetarians, we have an Ensure plant-based protein shake. This provides 180 calories. You're getting 20 grams of high-quality plant-based protein. It has dietary fiber in that it has 5 grams. It's gluten-free, and it is in fact lactose-free. So really, what you want is to find the best Ensure that works for your patient to help them reach their nutritional goals. And we have quite a bit on the market. We have six different presentations that you can choose from. For your patients living with diabetes, we have a couple of options to present. We start out with Glucerna Hunger Smart. which has carb steady, and I'll explain what carb steady means in a little later. It's 180 calories. It provides 15 grams of protein in 10 fluid ounces. It has dietary fiber, 4 to 6 grams, depending on the flavor. And it is also gluten-free and suitable for lactose intolerance. We have a new presentation in the market called the Glucerna 1 gram total sugar shake. And this also is 180 calories in 10 fluid ounces. And you're getting 15 grams of quality protein, your dietary fiber, again, 4 to 6 grams. And it's dependent on the flavor. It comes in 2 flavors currently, vanilla and milk chocolate. And it's also gluten-free and suitable for lactose intolerance. Should you require for your patients more protein, we have Glucerna Protein Smart shake, which has 30 grams of protein, only 150 calories. It has dietary fiber, 4 to 6 grams, again, dependent on the flavor. It comes in flavors vanilla and chocolate, and it's gluten-free and suitable for lactose intolerance. Now, I mentioned earlier that Glucerna has carb steady, and carb steady is really an Abbott coined word, which simply means that it's a blend of complex carbohydrates which slowly release in the small intestines, and that helps to minimize the blood glucose response. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see simple carbohydrates being absorbed very quickly into the gut. With carb steady, Glucerna with carb steady, you see that absorption is spread out throughout the gut, and therefore minimizing the blood glucose response. So again, you have some options if you're choosing, well, just recommend to your patients if they can replace a poor meal or snack with Glucerna. I have some options which I presented earlier. For patients who are experiencing wounds, difficult wounds that won't not healing very readily, and this could be as a result of pressure injuries, diabetic foot wounds, surgical incisions, or other chronic or acute wounds. We would recommend Juven. Now, Juven is a medical nutrition. It comes in a sachet. Just add to 8 to 10 fluid ounces of water, and it contains arginine, which helps with blood flow, glutamine, which helps with collagen production and helps with supporting the immune system. It has HMB, which is a metabolite of leucine, which helps to protect muscle cell walls and preserves and maintains muscle tissue. It also contains collagen peptides, which stimulate internal collagen production, and your micronutrients, vitamin C, E, B12, and zinc. And together, these components have been clinically shown to support wound healing in as little as 2 weeks. So that's 2 sachets a day. And it should be used under medical supervision alongside a complete balanced diet. And my last product slide is Pedialyte. Just to remind you that Pedialyte provides hydration for all, not just for kids. Whether it's as a result of excessive sweating, heat, whether you have vomiting and diarrhea, or pregnancy, for mild to moderate rehydration, remember Pedialyte. I've also included my contact information, Paul Russell, or distributors being CareMed. So I'm based at Lady Musgrave Road. My cell number is 489-6093, and my email address is paul.russell, spelled with 1 L, @abbott.com. Thank you again for the opportunity, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your symposium.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I believe we're now going to go back to our moderators, who will do the official handing over and continue with the session. So, Dr. Lisa. Back to you.
I was saying thank you. Over to Dr. Arna Brown Morgan. Not hearing you, Arna. Dr. Brown Morgan, not hearing you.
Dr. Brown Morgan, we're not hearing. You seem
Not
to be
hearing.
unmuted. It says you're unmuted though. Pardon? What's up?
Lisa, why don't you go ahead and introduce Dr. Riley?
Let me see. I did not keep his introduction because Arna would have it. I apologize for that. Arna, you want to send me his, let me see if I can pull it up. Keep his. I would have to get it back. Arna, you want to come back in? Because
Let me let
rehearsed.
me let me help for a second. Dr. Brown Morgan is having a little bit of technical difficulties. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. And we go to our next presenter, who is Dr. Vincent Riley. Dr. Riley is a consultant cardiologist physician. He's the medical director of the Heart and Wellness Center. He is also director of Superior Cardiac and Diagnostic Center in Linstead. Dr. Riley was the former head of Department of Medicine at the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital. He currently works with the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. He completed a fellowship in adult cardiology at the University of Toronto. He also holds a fellowship in cardiac rehabilitation and stress cardiac imaging from the University of Toronto. He is a fellow of the American College of Physicians, a member of the American College of Cardiology, American Heart Association, and Caribbean Cardiac Society. Dr. Riley earned his Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery and his Doctor of Medicine from the University of the West Indies. Dr. Riley holds a diploma in medical radiation technology from the UWI. He has worked in Bermuda as consultant physician. Dr. Riley has also spent some time in London at King's College, Guy's, and St. Thomas Hospital as a fellow in geriatric medicine. Dr. Riley has also served on the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association as treasurer and vice president. He also served as a council member on the Jamaica Medical Council. In 2010, Dr. Riley and his team from Jamaica were part of the relief team in Haiti following the earthquake. Dr. Riley's academic interest includes peripartum
Sorry.
cardiomyopathy.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you able to hear me, Sam? Are you
Yes,
able to
we're able
see
to
me? Because
hear
I'm
you.
not seeing myself. Are you
That's
seeing me? I'm not seeing
Yes, we're
myself
seeing you
either.
as
My
well.
apologies. Okay. So Dr. Riley. Now, I just wanted to say to everybody, my apologies for what happened just now. Dr. Riley, I'm just going to, I'd like to say that so far, this webinar has been such a wonderful webinar in its ability to correspond, to communicate, not just with doctors, but with the lay people who are on board. And I'd like to just say how much I enjoyed Dr. Kathy Ann Robinson, who simplified her presentation so very, very well. Now, Dr. Riley, you are not only a consultant cardiologist, and the director of your Heart and Wellness Center and all of these fabulous things that you do, former head department of medicine at St. Anne's Bay Hospital, and working for the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. But you are a people person. You are a people person in a big way. You are not just a cardiologist, but you did your electives in England, pursuing electives in aging. You worked doing some geriatric stuff, which is very, very important for our little group here, where we're dealing with over age 45 and beyond. So we just want to say he studied geriatric medicine along with internal medicine. He worked with Professor Denise Eldemar at the Mona Aging and Wellness Center. And he subsequently went to England and pursued an elective through Help the Age, a nonprofit organization, at King's College Hospital and is it Gray's and Thomas in the Department of Geriatric Medicine. So, and then he went on to do his internal medicine cardiology. So you understand, when he comes to us to talk about the medical side of heart health to this group of older people, he is absolutely, I don't want to say he's exclusively suited to talking to us today within the setting. So Dr. Riley, please go ahead and talk to us about the medical side of heart health. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brown, for the introduction. I'm not sure if persons are seeing my screen because I had shared it earlier, but I'll share again. All right, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Yes, you can see my. Okay, great. So thank you again, Dr. Brown and Dr. William Brown and the Jamaica Midlife Health Society for inviting me to talk about something that is very dear to me. As Dr. Brown says, there are two aspects of medicine that is very, very, is sort of something that I like, and it's the aging population, that's one, the elderly population, and I also am very passionate and excited always about cardiology. And, we've seen a change in our population. People talk about population demographics, and we are seeing a lot of that. We are seeing more persons above the age of 65 and 75 in our population. If you look within your family, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot more older persons. So, talking about the medical side of heart health, today we need to be excited. Dr. Pete Robinson, she went through the whole logistics about the heart itself as a machine and looking at it in terms of to keep the engine running. But now we want to look at the medical side. What are some of the things that we can do to make this engine keep running? What are some of the things that affect this engine? And what are the strategies now in modern medicine? Modern medicine for the aging population. What is modern medicine doing? Have they come alive? Have they woken up and say, listen, no, the population is changing. They are more elderly. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we sit back, relax a little, embark on this little journey for the next 25 minutes or so, where we can talk about the medical side of heart health. Let's see if my slides will move. Okay, so this afternoon, there's a few objectives. We may stray from the point in some of them to talk about this little engine called the heart. We're going to look at some major cardiovascular risk factors. We're going to break them down, take them down to where we all understand so we can leave here understanding, why do I go to the health center? Why do I go to my primary care physician? What is it that they're looking for? What are my targets? High blood pressure, cholesterol, what this fancy word that everybody is using now, metabolic syndrome, what really it is. What are some of the warning signs? I drive in my car and I hear a little knock. Should I be concerned? Okay, I feel a little chest pain. Should I be concerned? Is it my heart that is a problem? And then that foot line, screen for over age 35. We're talking about screening for heart disease. You'd be surprised how many of us as healthcare provider miss that part. How many of us as clients, patients at our primary care that miss that part of it. And then finally, to top it off, we're just going to talk a little bit about modern advances in healthcare with regards to the heart. So, big turning point. We all remember, I suspect that everyone here today is over 35. Remember when we were young and at high school and we were running around and we feel invincible. But then we hit 30. Then here comes 35. There's that big shift. You feel a little more, you know, little more tired. You start wondering, okay, what is happening in my body? There's a metabolic shift. Our blood vessels are no longer, like the rubber band, very elastic, but they start getting a little bit stiffer. Dr. Pate Robinson mentioned them, the muscles and the blood vessels, they get a little stiffer. It is very subtle with age, at age 35. JMHS have midlife as 45 to 60. Then we start getting some things that is happening that we can't even see. They don't have any symptoms. We don't know if they are there. But guess what? From what we know from medical knowledge, it is happening. Plaque begin to accumulate. What is plaque? Plaque is cholesterol. Those little calcium and cholesterol start getting deposited in our blood vessels. When I talk to my patients all the time, I make it very simple to my patients. I said, do we all remember those metal pipes from Water Commission? How they all got changed because some of them became blocked, some of them became leaky, and it was no fault of us. It's just the metal pipes with calcium deposit, and that's what happens in our blood vessels. So the key thing here, early prevention. What can we do to make sure that the blood that is flowing in these blood vessels that are stiffer, it doesn't have that much plaque in them, doesn't have that much cholesterol? So we therefore need to start making lifestyle choices. We heard some of them earlier. We heard about diet. We heard about exercise. All of these lifestyle changes that we probably will make at 30, 35 will impact our heart health when we are 50, in our 50s and 60s. But guess what? There's always, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Up to 80% of premature heart disease is entirely preventable through lifestyle modification. That's a big winner. Big, big winner. Up to 80% of them we can prevent by doing simple things. We hear a lot of big drives going around. Know your numbers. What are your critical numbers? The first know your number I want us all to think about. Yes, I know. Aim for your blood pressure to be consistently below 120/80. The last time I mentioned that to a patient, you know what the patient said to me? She was 91. Doc, you really think I can get my blood pressure to 120/80? It is achievable. However, if you have high blood pressure, we aim for a soft, I tell my patients, a soft target of less than 140/90. If you can get it to 120/80 without any symptoms, without the dizziness, without the lightheadedness, feeling fatigue, the goal is not for you to get up in the morning, after you've taken your medications. Doc, I'm tired, you see. I feel dizzy. I'm afraid to go to the bathroom because I might fall, because I just dizzy. I feel wobbly. That's not the target. That is when you start talking to your healthcare provider. Is it that my target of 120 is a little bit too low for me? Cholesterol profile. Track the bad cholesterol. We'll talk a little bit more about what is bad cholesterol and what it does. It was mentioned earlier in the presentation. What is good cholesterol, HDL, and, probably mention a little about total triglycerides. Blood sugar. Monitor your fasting blood sugar. Because whether you're diabetic or not, you want to catch the pre-diabetes stage. You want to catch it early because remember, it is intervention, early screening to prevent yourself from having diabetes. And then I put this fancy word here, body metrics. We are not aiming for the upper where, so we wanted to check your weight versus your height. We're not going for roundness. Check your waist circumference. Check your hip circumference. Because there is data to show that if your waist and your hip circumference are abnormal, then you're at higher risk of getting narrowing and blockages of the blood vessels of the heart. There's strong data. There's data out of Heart Foundation, local data, Heart Foundation, Jamaica Healthy Lifestyle Survey. There's lots of data, and it's all there on the Ministry of Health website. Nice, busy slide. We're going to come back to this slide, but it's just to whet your appetite before we dive into what we mean by risk factors. So risk factors are anything that puts you at risk of getting a disease. If you walk on the road, chances are a car will hit you down. That is the event. Car might hit you down. The event we're talking about is heart disease, heart attack, stroke, heart failure. That's the event we're talking about. And the risk factors are the number of cars or what the drivers are doing to prevent the event. Some of our risk factors are things we can't do a thing about it. When you hit 35, then 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, we start hoping we were still 15. But guess what? We can't do anything about the age. Age is not modifiable. There are a lot of apps nowadays that show if you're taking your medication, if you're exercising, it adjusts your age. I have one that I use, and it told me I am 5 years younger than what my age is, which is a good thing, and that is because I have taken into hand some of these strategies. We cannot change our ethnicity. We can try. There are persons who are trying, they are bleaching, but they are not changing their ethnicity. All right, their skin getting a little lighter. You can't change your family history. If your family, someone has diabetes, hypertension, early coronary artery disease, you can't change that. You wish you could, but you can't. And of course, our gender. Our gender, and the gender we are talking here now is biological gender. For people doing a lot of stuff, we're not going to get into that. But then, remember that slide I showed you? See it come back here again? There are some things that we can change. And that is what? With the assistance of your healthcare provider, along with your church groups, along with your gyms, along with your partners, along with your community members. These are what we are trying to change, Hypertension, we're trying to get it under control. The high cholesterol, we can change that by doing some simple things. Our diabetes, we can control that. Because if your diabetes is not controlled, then later on I'm going to show you what can happen. Obesity, our size, the inactivity, getting up. Dr. Robinson took some time. She went through what she means by inactivity. What is exercise? Stress. Stress hard. Stress big. Stress is every part of our life, but we need to find methods of dealing with it. Smoking. Gone are the days of the 60s where that camel advertisement, the older persons in here remember those advertisements showing that it was hip and nice to smoke. Now we are saying persons should not smoke. It increases the risk of having cardiac disease as well as increase the risk of cancer. Alcohol, especially binge drinking. Lots of party going on in Jamaica. We have to warn our young people about the binge drinking. All right? So it's the amount of what we're doing. Do it in moderation. So, but look at this chart. Nice, pretty chart. It says 1,000 words. If you're sitting down on your couch watching World Cup all day and don't get up when you want some water to go get the little water, or get up when you finish and go do a little walking around and come back during the intermission, all of those inactivity over time, look what it does. It increases your risk of having a heart attack or stroke by about 60%. Obesity, about 40%. uncontrolled blood pressure 30%, and cigarette smoking by 20%. So you can imagine if we improve these, we can reduce our risk factors for getting coronary artery disease. Now, remember I talk about the new fancy word everybody talking about. This picture that I have put up here, this is a cartoon, is to give you an idea of what metabolic syndrome look like. This is what our metabolic syndrome patients look like, Lots of what we call visceral fat. You hear people, when we were younger, say, yeah, the fat cover your heart and your fat cover your lungs and the fat in the bowel. That is what visceral fat is. People say the fat is on the outside, they're on the inside. That is the visceral fat. High blood pressure, insulin resistance, making them diabetic. High triglycerides, and they have low HDL. So that is what the metabolic syndrome person looks like. And then this big risk factor, the elderly, high blood pressure, what are the targets? So, I was asked a couple of days ago, what was high blood pressure? What does it represent? Oh, someone raising their hands? I'm not sure. Can we take questions, Mr. Moderator? Someone raise their hand.
We
Um,
can,
we could
but I believe
we
it's
could
just an
wait a little.
accident. We can go
Sorry,
ahead.
Mr. Sorry.
Okay.
Sam, as the moderator, I think we could go ahead, although it's best if we hold those questions right to the end. People need to just make a note of them so that we don't mess up with our time schedule. But as
Okay.
we've already accepted this one, let's go ahead.
Okay. Can the
Go ahead,
person
unmute. Sam will allow it.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Sam,
Brown.
allow the person to speak, please.
Thank you. The person lowered their hands.
Okay, great. All right. I guess probably there's an error. Yes, so as I was saying, so high blood pressure is always a challenge, especially for my male clients, because of all the stories they hear. So the target, as I said earlier, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about, is 120/80. That's normal. And a soft target is less than 140/90. There are a lot of other targets, depending on what you have. If you've had a heart attack, if you have kidney failure, if you are diabetic, and your primary care physician will go through those targets with you while they worked with you to achieve those targets, which are achievable with the least amount of complications, least amount of side effects. But so why worry about high blood pressure? It's there. My grandmother, people say, oh, my grandmother never had a sickness until doctor tell him that they have high blood pressure. She never have high blood pressure before, and now she have a stroke. Okay, she has a stroke, and it's not a stroke that give her the high blood pressure. It might be the other way around. So if you have high blood pressure, you put yourself at risk of getting a heart attack. Not just a heart attack, that fancy word cardiomyopathy. Cardio is heart, myopathy is muscle, disease of the muscle, where the muscles get very thick. Doctor said my heart is big on the ECG, doctor. What does the doctor mean by that? The muscles are thicker, therefore it generates more current. The ECG is just a voltmeter measuring the current. Heart failure, shortness of breath, leg swelling, not able to lie flat. Kidney failure, and of course in stroke. No, this other one, dementia. We didn't even think about it, but dementia is associated with high blood pressure. People, when you do your CT scan, you see the doctor will say chronic ischemic changes or white matter changes. I know a lot of us here have seen CT report. All right, and you see that's just a reflection about hypertension as well as aging. Problems with our eyes, bleeding of the eyes, what we call retinopathy, damage to our blood pressures, to our blood vessels, dilated blood vessels. Some of them break, some of them leak, and of course, circulation problem in the legs, pain in the legs, because the blood is not flowing very well, and headache, convulsions, all of those problems which can occur and stroke. Cholesterol. We hear about cholesterol and good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. So what is cholesterol? So cholesterol really is some fatty substance that is in the bloodstream, and that is very important for our body. Cholesterol, you know. Cholesterol is used to make our hormones. The bile acids is made by cholesterol. Vitamin D and other substances, they are really cholesterol. But then the majority of the cholesterol that we have is produced by the liver. Up to about 80% of it, the liver makes it, and then the other 20% we take it in from our diet, our food. The good cholesterol is the one that we want to be high, the one we want to be above 1. Persons may look at the cholesterol numbers, or what we call the cholesterol profile. We want your good cholesterol to be above 1, because as Dr. Robinson mentioned earlier in our presentation, that is the one that takes the cholesterol from the bloodstream, carry it to the liver, for the liver to break it down so you can get rid of it. The LDL is the bad one. It's the one that takes it out into the bloodstream, that deposits it into the blood vessels and cause your plaque. I put here, don't try to remember the numbers. Your primary healthcare provider will go through some of these numbers with you. But we talk about desirable, we talk about borderline, and we talk about high. A lot of times we treat persons with cholesterol, I'm going to put it here. A lot of time when we are treating their cholesterol, we're not just treating the numbers. Because I've had patients come to me and say, doctor, I had a heart attack. I went to my doctor and my doctor started me on cholesterol pill, but I don't have no high cholesterol. What is the doctor treating? Your doctor, your primary care provider, is treating a risk factor. Remember the analogy I used about the car and the motor vehicle accident? If your provider can reduce the amount of cars that's on the road, then the chance of you getting hit by a motor vehicle is smaller. So sometimes what we are treating is really risk rather than the numbers. Your cholesterol might be normal, but you had a heart attack or you have a stroke. So they want to reduce it further. Does high cholesterol have symptoms? Sometimes I ponder with my patients and says, they say, doc, does high cholesterol have symptoms? I say, it doesn't have direct symptoms, but it does have some symptoms that may be related to other things, but may be associated with high cholesterol. And a lot of times because it's associated with certain conditions like stroke, heart attack. Some persons who have high cholesterol may have loose stool. Some persons may feel depressed, stomach distension, of course weight gain, and then heart pain is really because that word that we heard earlier, angina, chest pain with exertion, aching pain in the leg. And we don't see it a lot in our population, but we see it a lot in the Caucasian, where we'll show you, let's show you, nice like a picture here. We see this a lot in Caucasian population and the elderly. If you go home and look in your grandmother's eyes or look in your grandfather's eye, you see a little thing around, a little white thing around it. We call it arcocinilius. We think it's because of cholesterol deposit. Some persons get deposit of cholesterol on the skin. These little cholesterol or yellow looking, well, I don't want to use the word plaque, deposits on the skin, on the eyes, around the neck, and other places you will see them, on the legs. You see them in Caucasian population a lot, in some Indian population, or in some persons who has a familial high cholesterol. Their family is associated with very, very high cholesterol. Those are all things that are indicative, suggestive of high cholesterol. So, now you tell me the risk factors, diabetes, hypertension. Doctor, what should I look out for now to give me an idea that I might have some heart problem? Chief among them, everyone who gets chest pain and chest discomfort is worried about the heart. Rightly, you should, if you're above age 35. Have a gentle talk with your primary care physician, and they'll help to guide you, all right, as to whether it's significant suggestive of the heart. Shortness of breath at rest or with exertion. Tired, man. That me tired as a man. I just feel weak and tired all the time. As me start do something, me feel an extra tiredness. Now, this other one, the irregular heartbeat. You know, personally, I feel like my heart skip a beat. I feel my heart just race out. It just take off that. The heart take off and then it stop. I feel it beating in my ears, beating in my throat. These are symptoms that they may be harmless, but they may suggest something going on with the electrical activity of your pump, the electrical activity of your engine, swelling of the legs and ankles, other causes, but it's worth ruling out heart causes. Dizziness and lightheadedness, important. Pain in other areas of the body. Like, for example, which I mentioned a little later on, if you're walking and you get pain in the legs. Doctors like to use big fancy words, claudication. If you walk, you get pain in the legs, that goes away when you stop walking. Cold sweats, nausea, indigestion, persistent cough. And I put there slurred speech to indicate a stroke, leg pain with walking, facial twisting and fainting. Now, so that, I think, are some of them fancy symptoms you mentioned, because once we start talking about symptoms, everybody start getting them, including myself. Start get all of those sweating and chest pain and shortness of breath. So I am 35, doc. I'm not as sharp as I was when I was 30. And I go see my primary health care provider, Dr. Brown. What should Dr. Brown be doing for me here now? What should she be thinking about to make sure I don't have no heart problem? So the first thing most primary care provider or healthcare provider will do is take a nice detailed history. They are detectives. They are policemen on the job. They want to find out, sir, where are you from? Who are you? What is your family background? What are the symptoms you're having? What is this? What is that? What is that? And then him go check your blood pressure. Then he go look in your eyes. And you wonder, doctor, what you're looking for? Yeah, right? Looking in your eyes and him looking at your hands and him looking at your feet and him looking all over you. They're trying to get a history, trying to put a story. Is it just screening? Am I just screening my patient or my patient has a disease? Then they check your blood pressure. You can do a lot of that work. Check your blood pressures at home. Know what the numbers are. If your blood pressures are above 130, over 80, above that, get concerned. The Americans in 2017 diagnosed their persons with high blood pressure at that time. And guess what happened? Half of the population of America became hypertensive in 2017 in Chicago. All right? So your healthcare provider, get your blood pressure checked by a healthcare provider. Because I have my patients, my patients, they bring their blood pressure machine, that me not think my one working, But when I check them with my machine, doc, your machine not work either. But my pressure high still. All right? So get it checked, get it correlated, get your blood sugar checked. A little screen. A lot of our pharmacies are doing blood sugar screening and persons on the road. Get the sugar test if it's a little bit, they say, oh, you're pre-diabetic or it's a little bit high. Get it checked, get it investigated properly. Get your cholesterol levels checked. And then we get into testing. Heart test, you go to the doctor, get a heart test. At least get a heart test. Whether you have high blood pressure or not, you're 35. Get a heart test, the ECG. ECG, as I mentioned earlier, is a voltmeter. That voltmeter tells you time. It tells you how much current the heart is generating. And it tells you if it is any abnormality. And it helps to guide you. Do I need to do anything further? CT scan, looking at the calcium score. That's easily done. Apex will do it. You get your calcium score done, a CT scan, it tells you there's no calcium deposit in any blood vessels or anything, and they give you a score. And then, this is the one that your doctor, when they're questioning you, they do, the risk assessment. And in that risk assessment, they just go up on the computer, and then plug in them number, your age, your gender, your race, the cholesterol that you have, your blood pressure, whether you have been treated for blood pressure or diabetes if you're a smoker, and it comes out, give them a score. Give them a risk. Are you low risk, which is less than 5%, or 5 to 7%? Or they start talking about 7.5 to 10%, and you say, oh, you are more than your risk of having narrowing of the blood vessels is more than 10%. Those are the numbers. Those are the numbers that they start spitting out. All right, and it gives us an idea. So, you get your screen done. Doctor tells you you have heart problem. What are the modern advances now? What is there now that you're gonna do now, doctor, that wasn't being done 50 years ago? Advances in drug therapy, man. The drugs, them good. Increase efficacy with less side effects. We have drugs that are for diabetes that we are using in heart disease. Can you imagine? Heart failure patient coming in and putting them on diabetic medication. Heart failure patient coming and putting them on blood pressure medication. Renal failure patient coming and putting them on renal medication for the heart. That's just how the advance in the science have come on. Equipment and technology, I'm not even going to talk about that yet. And then use of AI in diagnosis and treatment. No. Minimally invasive surgery. Gone are the days when doctor open your chest. We used to open the chest to do these bigger body and these big scars. Now we're doing minimal invasive surgery. Small keyholes we are going through now to do surgery. Sometimes we're not even going through no holes. We're going through the groin. We go through the groin, go all the way up to the heart. And if we need to, we can put in, you have a blockage, we open the blood vessels. We open the blood vessels just like your garden hose. You park your car on the garden hose and it crimp down. Then you now want to open up the blood vessels. And when you open it, it keeps going back down. We put a little metal tube in there called a stent. And the stent is there for life. All it does is just keep the blood vessel open so blood can flow again. My structural cardiologist, she's we used to do surgery to fix holes in the heart. You hear people say, oh, my daughter has a hole in the heart, or so-and-so had a hole in the heart. No, we don't have to open your chest to fix the hole in the heart. No, with technology, we are now able to guide balloons, guide devices up into the heart to plug these holes, close off these holes. Your recovery time is a lot more. You recover quicker. You're back into work and less complications. Pacemakers have advanced. They have gotten so small. People used to be so afraid of pacemaker when the electrical system in your heart is bad. The electrical system in the heart is bad, not conducting as fast. So therefore it needs something to pace it. So pacemakers have gotten much smaller. Their use have gotten a lot more useful. They're using them in heart failure. They're using them in persons who are at risk of sudden cardiac death. The technology, the device, gone are the days we used to use complex stationary medical monitors. Now you can get it on a simple monitor, the pulse oximeter, and guess what? Also on your phone, you can get it on your little watch. Then there are sophisticated devices. All of those are out there. This is one that I like for my patients. I tell almost all my patients when they tell me that they feel their heart racing or their heart skipping a beat, I say, buy a little device, put it on your phone, and get an app on your phone so you can record the ECG and you can bring your ECG. Guess what? You are now involved in the care. You're involved in the care, in your care. You can help me to diagnose what is wrong with you so we can talk about treatment. And then listen, a whole lot of devices. Look at that. Devices like crazy. Wearable devices. And guess what? They're accepted internationally by the Heart and Rhythm Society. They're accepted worldwide. If you bring it in, we will accept it. We're wearing fancy watches. Watches will monitor how much calories, how much exercise, how much sleep you get, the quality of the sleep. It's monitoring your body temperature. It's all of that these devices can do. AI. Today I went to a little AI thing talking about artificial intelligence and cardiac disease. I use a little bit of AI as well in my practice, not much. AI has shown if you put the information in, early detection. You get everything. You do all of them ECGs, you do the CT coronary, and it can put out early detection. It is used for screening tool. It improves diagnostic accuracy and offer precision medicine here directed to a patient. The future look bright with artificial intelligence. It looks very bright. I'm hoping to be around when I can see a lot more of what AI has to offer to the field of medicine. Look at what AI can do. Eh? You do a chest x-ray. We usually do a chest x-ray. We look at this chest x-ray and we say the heart looks a little big. We look at the middle part of the heart and say, oh, there's something going on there. It looks like this person in heart failure from the x-ray. That's our traditional thing. Now you have AI software now that can go through, look at the picture and analyze it down to a detail and give you an idea as to what might be going on and even talk about what are the possible causes and how you should approach therapy. Same thing with the wearable devices, smart stents, biochemical sensors, all of those are in, and then they go into a data processing software in AI, and then they give us early diagnosis. They talk about risk factor control, monitoring disease progress, tailored therapy, and early recognition of compliance. Can you imagine you have devices that can tell you, oh, you never take your pill, you never take your cholesterol pill? I know I have one. I use it. It tells me I don't take my pressure pill or my cholesterol pill. It tells me to get up on time to go exercise. It tells me I didn't do enough exercise. All of those are there, and those are, as simple as it might sound, it is part of AI controlling your disease. Key point takeaway. The cardiovascular diseases are preventable. Reducing the modifiable risk factors with lifestyle modification and pharmacotherapy has proven benefits. Know the warning signs. Early access to healthcare is the key to reducing sickness, the quality of your life, and also mortality. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and I hope it made a difference.
Thank you, sir. It is not only full of knowledge, way in
Not hearing you,
Jamaican
Dr. Brown. Not hearing you.
population can understand exactly what you're saying and exactly where you're going. And we only tell you how much we appreciated your excellent. Well, I'm not muted. Are you still
started
not
to
hearing
come
me?
in, Arno. We're hearing you now. Go ahead.
Okay, right. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the whole online stuff today, both because I'm now on my phone rather than on the computer, which would not unmute a little earlier. And here we are. And I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Riley, because I am saying that you spoke to the regular Jamaican today.
Lost you again, Arno.
Said, and you shared a volume of information that people don't normally get. People don't normally.
Want you to wait, and if
Sam,
you
let's go ahead and take questions.
Yes, I'm not sure what is, but I just want to not pro this. Dr. Riley, thank you so very much. You went over the entire body. You went over the value of exercise in a very simple. to thank you again, and we'd like to open the floor to any questions that are a short Q&A session at this time. And in view of the problem I'm having with my audio, I'm going to ask Sam to go ahead and introduce any questions that there's Sam, because of the
Thank you, Dr. Brown Morgan. Guys, thank you so much for attending, and I apologize for the internet issues that preventing Dr. Brown Morgan from communicating properly at the time. Are there any questions for Dr. Riley?
Hello?
Such a wonderful presentation. Any questions? You can type it in the Q&A. I'm seeing where Mrs. Graham Haynes had a question, but she didn't get to complete it. Does anybody else have a question that they'd like to raise so that we can ask Dr. Riley to clarify on it? Any questions? I see where a wonderful congratulations to you, Dr. Riley. Very interesting presentation.
There's one regarding plaque dissolution, Sam.
I'm trying to find that one. Is that in the chat or in the Q&A? There's a lot of talk about plaque dissolution in the online sphere, Dr. Riley. To what degree is atherosclerosis reversible?
Okay, so, plaque dissolution, that is the ultimate goal of a lot of our therapy. So most times when we see patients, when we see clients coming in and they have atherosclerotic disease, our main goal really is to, one, reverse the plaque, two, stabilize the plaque. Because what the plaque really is really cholesterol and mixed with a lot of other substance that's being deposited on the blood vessels that have been injured, and it just stays there and gets bigger. So if we can slow the progression, we can assist the body in getting rid of the plaque, which is what the body actually does. The body actually gets rid of plaque. So lifestyle modification, exercise, diet, all of that, it works. And then the other aspect of it is where we give persons cholesterol lowering agent to reduce the main cause for plaque. And then we also give persons blood thinners, aspirin or clopidogrel or ticagrelor. Well, ticagrelor we tend not to use a lot of. So some blood thinners to keep this, so they prevent the constituents of the blood from sticking together as they roll along through the blood vessels. But we can get plaque dissolution because we do medical therapy in patients who have narrowing and blockages of blood vessels. That's what we mean by medical therapy. It's optimizing plaque.
So, Dr. Riley,
yes.
To what extent does these newer statins prescribed at the higher levels, to what extent do they actually work to remove the plaques and reopen some of these blood vessels? Because they do say that using the higher dosages can actually reduce the plaques that we see. Is this so, or what is your experience?
It is so. It is so, and it's from the early days. There are a couple of trials that came out. I don't know, the medical persons online may remember them. There's some trials that came out when we used to measure the plaque in the carotid vessels to see how much deposit of plaque, and then we started the persons on cholesterol lowering agent to watch how it grows and see those that had reversal. And there was some reversal in some of the older agents. These newer agents, the newer agents that has the idea with the higher intensity statin, which is the larger doses of statin, and the newer agent, they prevent less side effects. They have less side effects. They didn't have much of the muscle pain, the liver dysfunction that we saw with some of the older ones at higher doses. So the newer agents are a lot better in plaque resolution. There's even newer agents on the market, the injectables, that have shown some improvement as well in outcomes as to whether the plaque has been resolved, but in outcomes, dying from heart attacks or stroke or having heart failure from atherosclerosis, those have been reduced. So the higher the dose, as to whether or not there is a linear relationship, that is where the signs and persons get in. Even as clinician, we are faced with that. My patient for example, because you will have your patient do a CT, come back severe atherosclerosis and calcification in blood vessels, the aorta or in some of the coronary, and you say, oh God, should I go for the higher dose of statin or should I go for a medium dose? But there's no linear relationship, especially if the cholesterol is normal. Where do you go? And that's the part of the dilemma of making clinical judgments, I guess. And you ask several experts and they say something different. Everybody have a different answer.
So, Doc, that was my final question would be to you to ask, is it possible to get the cholesterol too low? I mean, we all need some cholesterol, but is it possible to use these medications and lower the cholesterol too low? We know we want it very low in diabetics and in people who have had strokes and heart attacks. Is there a limit to the low, or it just needs minimal amount? The body only needs minimal amounts to do what it needs to do.
Dr. Brown Morgan is a bad girl, you know. Dr. Brown Morgan is stirring up worms. So there was a paper written, how low should we go? And I mean, as a clinician, we also get a little bit concerned. But, you know, the persons who specialize in lipidology keep saying that the cholesterol will not go too low. It won't go to the point where you'll have problems with your hormones, because that's what cholesterol makes. Hormones, it makes, it's part of our body, our skin is well made up of cholesterol. Will it go too low? We just don't know. In fact, the latest guideline, they have gone in not total cholesterol, they're looking at LDL, and the LDL, if you have had a heart attack and the LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol is in normal range, they suggest trying to go less than 1.8, where a lot of us get a little, oh my God, 1.8, doc, woo, no sir, 1.8 coming from 4.7, doc, no way. All right, but the studies have shown that it doesn't really it has not gone too low to be of concern. But there's always a discussion with the patient, and we always advocate, don't stop it. Reduce the dose if you're uncomfortable, but don't stop it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Can you see, Sam, if there are any other questions in the chat or in the Q&A?
Yes, Dr. Brown Morgan.
I don't see any myself.
Yes, Dr. Brown Morgan. There's a question here from Anna K. Harvey. The question is, what's your take on normoglycemic people who have a genetic potential for type 2 diabetes using continuous glucose monitoring? That persons that are connected to your smartphone as preventative measures. Do you recommend those?
Yes, we do. We do recommend. It's not a hard recommendation to be monitoring your glucose continuously if you are not diabetic. I mean, the point is, it's going to be difficult if you are normoglycemic, because when we use the word normoglycemic, we tend to mean persons who are diabetic and you have achieved your normal glucose. If you don't have diabetes, most persons won't be wearing a continuous glucose monitor. The continuous glucose monitor, I'm not sure, Dr. Pate Robinson, are they available here? Because I don't know the DEXA glucose monitoring. I don't know if they're available here.
So the problem is not as much the availability. Generally, they're not available here, but you can bring them in. The problem is that the IT support for them, for the apps and so on, is not supported in the Caribbean region. So they're lobbying for that with some of the companies. But right now, to use one properly, you have to set it up with a VPN so that you can connect.
Yeah. So intermittent monitoring of glucose is enough. And along with I never even mentioned the HbA1c. Oh gosh, that's so bad of me. Your HbA1c, hemoglobin, the glycosylated hemoglobin, all of that needs to be factored in terms of glucose control, as well as whether you are normal glycemic, you're not diabetic. Those are the numbers, the parameters that we use.
And there was another question on alcohol consumption and heart disease and that sort of thing. Can you just speak briefly to that?
So there's still a lot of, I think, even us as cardiologists are confused as to how much alcohol we should drink, because we go to a dinner, we drink 3 or 4 glasses of red wine. So in terms of the amount, they suggest 8 ounces of red wine, moderate alcohol intake, and it's not an everyday, it's not to the point where you're drinking 2 glasses of wine every day to be drunk. It's really 8 ounces, 6 to 8 ounces of red wine. And it specifically says red wine. There are other guidelines that look at the amount of beers, the equivalent in alcohol, volume per weight of alcohol, like 2 to 3 ounces, which is a drink of alcohol, but the benefits are not there. We think a lot of the benefits are from the red wine itself in terms of protection of cardiovascular disease. And persons have gone and spoke about the science as to what is in red wine. They never made mention of Moscato or white wine. It's just red wine.
Why? Is so it's something within the red wine that is not in white wine in the processing that that we are.
The red wine has tannins and other chemicals that are thought to be the reason they're protected.
Right. So thank you for that, Dr. Pete Robinson. And I would just like to thank both of you for this interactive session we've just had in the Q&A, which is just so back and forth and just what everybody needs to hear. The dialogue is so good and it is what everybody can understand. So Dr. Riley, thanking you again and thanking Dr. Pete Robinson for participating in our Q&A at this point in time. And I am now going to move on to our sponsors highlights, and we're going to want to thank our sponsors here. This would be Phoenix Gastroenterology and Health Services, Arista Pharma, and Square Pharma. And we're going to ask Sam to go ahead with their presentations. Thank you.
Welcome to Phoenix Gastroenterology and Health Services. My name is Dr. King Robinson. I am one of the gastroenterologists here at the 218 branch located at the top of Mountain View Avenue. Here we facilitate consultations and procedures. Did you know that March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month? If you're over the age of 45, listen to your gut. Book an appointment today. Because March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, we want to introduce you to the colonoscopy. This is a colonoscope, and it's a flexible tube that enters through the rectum all the way around to the end of the colon. It has a light, and the doctor will monitor with watching a screen, and it's a flexible tube, so it can move up and down, left and right, to navigate through the twists and turns of the colon. The test should be done when you don't have symptoms, and this is called screening. It's not painful, and a lot of patients are fearful of getting this test done. There's no reason to be fearful. It's a very comfortable test. It's very important that we are able to see clearly, because we can remove things like polyps or little growths that can become colon cancer in the future. Come and get your colonoscopy today.
All right, thank you so much. I think we're now going to go to our next sponsor, who is Arista Pharma. Over to you.
We're now going to hear from Arista Farmer.
Okay, I'll begin to share my screen. Are you seeing a PowerPoint presentation?
Not yet. We're currently seeing your Zoom shared screen.
Okay, let me stop sharing for a second. Are you seeing the presentation now?
Yes, we're seeing PowerPoint now.
Okay, I'll begin. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Deacon, Country Manager for Arista Pharma Limited here in Jamaica. Now, at Arista Pharma Limited, quality and innovation are at the heart of everything we do. And guided by our company motto, quality, the unit we count, we remain committed to delivering trusted healthcare solutions that improve patients' lives. Now, this year, Arista Pharma proudly celebrates 14 years of serving Jamaica's healthcare community. Our success has been built on several key pillars, one of which is the continuous evolution of our portfolio to meet the changing needs of patients and healthcare professionals. Now, today, I'd like to briefly touch on a condition that affects millions of people worldwide and becomes increasingly common as we age. And this is dry eye disease. And towards the end, I'll share a few of the Aristopharma solutions that we have. Now, dry eye is a multifactorial condition caused by insufficient tear production or excessive tear evaporation, which ultimately leads to the eyes not being properly lubricated. Now, dry eye, it is more than just a feeling of dryness. Some patients may experience burning, stinging, redness, blurred vision. Some persons may experience excessive tearing or the sensation of sand in the eyes. Now, while dry eyes admittedly affects millions of people of all ages, it does become increasingly common during midlife as several risk factors they begin to overlap at this stage. Now, natural aging can reduce tear production, hormonal changes can affect tear film stability, and even certain medications and chronic health conditions such as diabetes and thyroid disease can unfortunately contribute to symptoms of dry eyes. Now, it is also important to note that dry eye disease, not all patients will present the same. Some individuals, they do experience occasional irritation and discomfort, while others really experience more severe symptoms and they oftentimes struggle to, um, to live a normal, healthy life. Now, 7 years ago, we would have begun to change the outlook for patients living with dry eyes with the introduction of Cystear. Now, this dual polymer of polyethylene glycol and propylene glycol has provided reliable hydration and comfort for countless patients across Jamaica, ensuring meaningful and sustained hydration with each drop. Now, at Arista Pharma, having recognized that dry eyes, it is not a single disease with a single patient profile, Arista Pharma has evolved from a one product approach to a much more targeted lubrication portfolio designed to match the right product to the right patient at the right stage of dry eye. So we are now proud to announce the expansion of our lubricant portfolio with the addition of Dry Leaf and Neotear, both which are currently available for sale in the pharmacies, and High Power Gel, which is expected to join the lineup by the second week in July. Now, dry leaf, it is indicated for patients experiencing mild to moderate dry eye symptoms. Now, dry leaf, it is a drop that provides instant gentle relief while helping to protect the eyes from everyday environmental stressors. And some of these stressors can be the air conditioning, dust, wind, or even prolonged screen time. Now, dry leaf, it is also considered to be an ideal first-line option following any acute injury, and the product is enriched with with electrolytes found in natural tears, which do help to maintain the eye's natural moisture balance. Now, however, as dry eye symptoms progresses, some patients may require deeper, more sustained hydration, and this is where our second product, Neotear, comes in. Now, Neotear is Aristopharma's dual-acting artificial tear that offers an osmoprotective effect. Now, Neotear, it is specifically formulated for patients who experience moderate to severe dry eyes. So unlike individuals with mild dry eyes who may just occasionally experience discomfort, for these individuals with moderate to severe dry eyes, they often report more persistent dryness, burning, stinging, and a feeling of sand in the eyes. And finally, at the end of the dry eye spectrum, as it pertains to treatment, we have Hyperma which will be providing the highest level of hydration and protection. Now, these are often the patients whose symptoms persist throughout the day, and sadly, it may also interfere with sleep and overall comfort. Now, Hyperma it provides long-lasting lubrication and forms a protective cushion over the eye surface, thus helping to reduce any friction or discomfort that individuals may experience. Now, its prolonged retention also makes it particularly beneficial for individuals who require overnight ocular surface protection. So now let's take a step back and look at the full picture. Together, these formulations now give a more structured approach to dry eye management, and we're supporting individuals experiencing mild symptoms through to severe symptoms, thus providing hydration at every stage of dry eye. It is also important to note that our entire lubricant portfolio is preserved with sodium perborate, which converts to oxygen and water 30 to 60 seconds after it is instilled in the eyes. So it really minimizes any corneal toxicities that may make using the drop uncomfortable. Now, in closing, I just want to highlight the fact that dry eyes, it is a very common condition, but it should not be ignored. And by recognizing symptoms early and selecting the appropriate treatment, we can help to maintain comfort, protect the ocular health, and improve the quality of life for all. Let's work together to keep Jamaica seeing clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deacon, from Aristopharma. We appreciated all of that you had to tell us about dry eyes. My eyes are a little dry with the fan blowing on me all afternoon. I was just thinking there's a little break, so you really brought me up to scratch. And yes, we all appreciate your drug line. I'd like at this time to ask Square Pharma to go ahead with their presentation now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, Mrs.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just a moment. Are you able to see my screen, hopefully?
Yes, we are.
Wonderful.
Are we in the right mode? I don't know if we're okay. No, we're fine now.
Okay, wonderful. So good afternoon again. My name is Ashley Mullins Smith. I'm a med rep from Square Pharma. And today I wanted to introduce you all to two of our products from the Square portfolio that are currently available over the counter. So to begin, I'll play you a short video and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the product.
Achoo! Grandma, I've been sneezing so much and my eyes are red and itchy. I wonder if it's that Saharan dust I hear everybody talking about. Anywho, whatever the cause, Fexo can fix the itching, runny nose, watery eyes, and the sneezing.
Fexo Suspension 200 milliliters is a trusted choice for allergy relief. With a delicious raspberry flavor children enjoy, an affordable price, and a larger 200 milliliter bottle for great value, it's easy to keep Fexo at home. Fexo helps relieve allergy symptoms so children can get back to being kids. Fexo Suspension. Great tasting raspberry flavor kids love in a larger economical 200 milliliter bottle. Available at major pharmacies nationwide. Distributed by R.A. Williams Distributors Limited.
Achoo!
All right.
Achoo!
So hopefully you are able to see and hear the video clearly. So, of course, this is the Jamaica Midlife Health Society webinar, and you might be wondering, oh, there was a child that was presented in the video. So whether you're a parent, a grandparent, or you're just any member of a village, worrying about a child is one of the things that can cause stressors in your life. And as was mentioned in the previous presentation, we know that stress is one of the things that can contribute to cardiovascular issues. So that's where Square comes in, and we want to be able to mitigate those stressors. And that's where we're introducing Fexo. So Fexo is our second generation antihistamine, and it can be used for all age groups. And what that means as being second generation for persons who may not be doctors or nurses, what that means is that it does not cross the blood-brain barrier. So there is little to no sedation that happens when you're using Fexo. Fexo is our first-line treatment in your management of your allergic conditions. The reason why we want to do that is because Fexo is excellent at removing any itchy eyes, runny nose, coughing, sneezing, all the symptoms that you typically experience when you have allergic symptoms. Fexo is excellent at reducing those symptoms. Now, Fexo is not just used for your chronic patients, it's also great for your persons who only experience, say, seasonal allergic rhinitis. And typically right now, where we're experiencing that Sahara dust, Fexo is one of those things that is great to have in your household right now. And especially as we go through the year and have our periods of respiratory seasons, that is where our Fexo comes in relieving those allergic rhinitis symptoms. Now, a great thing about Fexo is, as I've said before, it does not cross the blood-brain barrier. But what that means on a day-to-day basis is that it's not going to impair your thinking or your mental function. What that means for your children, they'll be able to be in class, they'll be able to do their schoolwork, go outside and play, as you saw the little boy in the video. And say for adults, you'll be able to drive, you'll be able to function as normally at work. There will be no sedation and no impairment when using Fexo. So no sleepiness, no lagging. Fexo is the way to go so that you can prevent that from happening. Fexo as well has an excellent safety profile. There's minimal side effects that's experienced with Fexo and minimal drug interactions when you're using Fexo as well. And a great thing about Fexo is dosing. You don't have to worry that you have to wait to eat or take some time after you've taken it to eat. Fexo can be taken with or without food. So you don't have to worry about when you're taking Fexo. You can take it anytime that you. Then another product that I would love to tell you about is our Nebanol. So our Nebanol is a combination of neomycin and bacitracin, and is indicated for topical bacterial infections, eczema, and superficial wounds. Now, Nebanol is something that is perfect when you're on the move. This is also something that you would love to have in any first aid kit, whether you're traveling, in your car, in your home. Nebanol is what you would want to have on hand. It's very easy to rub on, but you'd want to do so on a clean skin. So if you're in your car, you probably run some water over your cut or your scrape. And if you're at home, you'd maybe take a shower or just cleanse your hand a little bit before using the Nebanol, as it's advised to be used on clean skin. It is very affordable and is actually now available at a specially discounted price at all major pharmacies island-wide. And once more, Nebanol is available. So it's not something that you need a prescription for, very easy to attain. So Square wants to thank you again for listening to our presentation. And when you think of Square, we want you to think of quality and accuracy. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for that, Ms. Smalling Smith. We have enjoyed hearing about your products and their efficacy. Some of us are new to them, so I hope that it's reaching the wider audience for you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. And I'd just like to ask Sam to post the post test at this time while we move forward with the program. In order to test your CME. All right. So at this time, to another little one here. I have for you a little skit. It's called Don't Mash Up Your Engine. Now, we've been hearing about the engine all day. Some of our, not only our presenters, but even some of our our drug representatives have been referring to the engine and the heart. So we now have a skit done by members of the JMHS on Don't Mash Up the Engine. The characters are Desmond, played by Dr. William Brown, our president, Gloria, played by Miss Roseanne Greenwood, who is one of our executive members, and Dr. Kelly, played by yours truly. So we did our best. There are little things that are maybe not quite as they should be, but all in the name of promoting good health. So over to Sam to go ahead with our little skit.
Don't mash up your engine. Don't mash up your engine. Your heart got the power will keep you moving on. Don't mash up your engine. Don't mash up your engine. Take care of your heart so you can stay strong.
Desmond, you see how long we are wait? We could have cooked dinner, wash, and still reach before they call me name.
Boy, Gloria, you stress yourself too much. Too much, man. That's why your pressure is always high.
My pressure is you me they worry about. You eat fried fish every day, drink your Guinness every night. And at last, you even exercise. The last time you exercise, when you run from mama dog.
What you mean, son? Be active, you know. If very active, we walk to the car twice daily, and that's a lot of exercise, you know.
Oh, good afternoon, Mass Desmond.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Miss Gloria.
Hey, Doctor.
Yes. So good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so good to see you. And can I welcome you? Come on in the office. We're going to have a good talk today because we had a little talk before.
I'm looking forward to this too.
All right.
Okay, come on in. Desmond, Miss Gloria, welcome. And it's good to see both of you here at the same time.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, what brings you both here today?
Well, Doctor, you know, me getting these headaches. And sometimes my heart is affecting and beat fast. And sometimes at evening time when I don't work, my foot them swell up.
Oh, so ask Desmond, what brings you here today?
Well, I'm fine, you know. And my wife said, we look tired, ashy, and mashed up. So I have to come to the doctor. So she dragged me along to come and see a doctor. But I'm feeling fine.
What age you guys? Can you let me know what's your age?
Just 55, you know.
55.
Just 58.
All right. So you have any illnesses you need to tell me about in the past? Any doctor ever tell you sick with anything?
No, you know, me no hardly go a doctor, you know, doctor tell you the truth. Because most times me alright, it's just what I tell you about the headache and the little fat of heart and swell off. But outside of that, me alright, you put cold and so.
So you say you're dragging along. So what are your concerns about with it?
She always said, me have got troops of high blood pressure. And doctor said, the prostate also giving problems. I mean, if you know it, I am fine.
Okay. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, doctor, this gentleman here so is a big stress to me. He eat up deeper fried fish. He drink Guinness a night and he not exercise, you know. He not take no exercise. The last time he get to exercise, he come up and yard and mama dog run and you want to see him run. After the last time he see get anything look like exercise.
So you're telling me that his lifestyle is not what you like it to be. His eating and his exercise is not what you want him to be. Well, you know, and you yourself are making some complaints about the shortness of breath and swollen leg and heart flutter. So we have to realize, you know, that our body doesn't just stay the same all the time. Just like our car ages, a car, you know, you drive it and then eventually you won't make a change. We have to check it out. We need to know when to check it out and what needs to be done. So we're going to talk a little bit about the pillars of our health. First pillar is about our nutrition, because I've been listening to you talking about how you cook, how you like meals you cook, the use of oil, the use of salt. And I need to bring it to your attention that these are the things that affect you. One, give you high blood pressure, and also give you heart disease, heart failure, stroke, any number of things. So nutrition is extremely important for good health.
But doctor, what then we can eat then? What we can eat?
True.
Well, you're going to avoid, first of all, you're going to avoid oil. You're going to avoid a lot of fried foods. You're going to avoid meat as far as possible and try to go meat, meaning red meat with a lot of fat in it. You're going to try to go for lean portions of meat and stick mainly with fish and chicken. And in addition to that, your carbohydrates.
What now?
Carbohydrates, your starches.
Oh, the starches.
The starches. Some starches carry more, what they call your index, your sugar index, your glucose index, right? Meaning that they carry more sugar when you eat them than others. For example, when you're taking potato or white bread, that's like taking sugar, straight sugar. So that is, and that of course, when you mention diabetes, that is a part of what we need to avoid with this health talk. You have to be aware of that. But also when you salt the food now, salt directly is pushing your pressure up.
So what do I use to give it food?
So you use your natural herbs.
Herbs for your diarrhea.
No, you're going to use your natural thyme and your natural escallion.
That is
your
herbs?
natural, yes, your natural garlic. And these things that you cut fresh from your yard when you grow them, or you buy them down a market. And
like scallion too?
Yes.
Right.
All of this adds flavorful food, very flavorful, and sometimes with the use of that you can minimize your use of salt. A good percentage, 80% of the Jamaican population is hypertensive and half of us don't know.
Just like that old car engine. It develops a lot of problems unless you service it. No.
Right. So and you must know what the servicing is, because we're discussing the servicing now, which is what we're dealing with, which is taking proper care of your body, how you eat, and what you drink. The alcohol is to be avoided too, right? You know, there's a recommendation that says men can have 2 small portions of alcohol daily, and women 1. But this is not something that we're going to encourage, right? Minimize it as much as possible. The good foods. Tell me what you think are the good foods.
The good food, them some nice yam, you know, them nice apple yam, nice roast breadfruit. But that's all of the rice, and this man, I love the rice. But I tell you, love the yam, is man. So every year when I cook, we have to make sure they have yam and boiled dumpling.
Right in that.
Past Desmond, the dumpling is flour. And flour is just open starch. So flour is not to be, the dumplings are not to be encouraged. You have to be careful how much dumpling you eat. But the food, the ground provision, whatever come out of Father God's soil is good food to eat. Pillar 2 now, we're dealing with exercise. And we have been talking about a little exercise. You have told me that you work in the garden and you're up and down in the house. Mr. Desmond, not telling me too much about exercise, but exercise is extremely important for your cardiovascular system, to keep the blood pumping around your system and to keep your oxygen levels high and to give you a high burn of calories to help you keep your weight under control. So there's a good reason why you need to exercise, and it has a control. It helps to control your diabetes. It helps to control hypertension too. It helps to control stress. It helps with exercise, also helps with heart disease. It helps with sleep apnea. There is absolutely nothing. It helps with digestion. If you have constipation, it helps with constipation, and as people get
So,
older.
doctor, at my age, 56 years, 58 years old, what can I do about exercise? What kind of exercise can I?
Can you think of something that you like?
Walking by the beach.
And how far are you from the beach?
Miles away. I don't know if my car can take me so. Since I got the engine and whole engine.
I need both of you to do some exercise at least.
You know, a park that's close to where we live, you know, that we just have to go across the street. Boy, them over there play football.
But a young boy then.
But we can walk around the park in the time, yes, man.
Yes, and that looks like a good idea.
Yes, man. Come walk with me.
Because we want you to walk for 20 to 30 minutes on approximately 4 or 5 days per week. Although they do say that sometimes you can accumulate it, so you don't have to actually walk 20 to 30 minutes, 4 or 5 days. You can do a bigger chunk and do maybe a smaller number of days. But you have to do it fairly regularly because you want to keep that metabolism turning and churning.
What, doctor?
Your ability to turn over your calories and burn your calories. So, but to turn over and maintain your weight and maintain your sugar levels, and so it's because the exercise helps a lot with that.
Yeah, be fast when you exercise.
And yes, you sweat.
The engine.
You know the engine.
And you
Turn
sweat.
the engine on.
Right, and you sweat and perspire, and all of that is telling you that you are working your body, and it's healthy that you can do that. So, Master, when you're mentioning stress, can you speak to the stressors in your life? What stresses you?
By the finances, the bills, the light bill, the water bill, the phone bills, the supermarket bill. It has stressed me out. Every time you go to the supermarket, more money and less food. They can't change that. That is stressful. Can't sleep. Heart start to raise. Pressure go up. Vex.
What are the main stresses that you experience?
Yes, ma'am.
See there? See there?
Okay.
If we can get that one organized, doctor, I will be good.
All right, I want to ask you, in your own life, transportation, getting around, getting to church.
We don't have no problem.
Those are not a problem for you.
The old car engine, I take you up and down.
That's
And
right.
work though. You have to put in gas
So we
though.
think that's stressful to wake up at night and make you sleep, and that has been happening since Mama died.
Yes, no.
But that is a real stress, because when you can't sleep at night, you are not getting the rest you need for your body to recuperate. Remember that deep sleep is needed for you to process what has happened in the daytime, and deep sleep is needed for you to store your memories of the previous day and to prevent things like Alzheimer's from developing. So deep sleep.
That's why when you snore.
No, when snoring is a problem, no, because if you're snoring, you may well have sleep apnea. And that's another thing you need to be tested for.
Because this when you snore,
No, you don't
well
have
deep.
to. Snoring is a problem. So, we have to tie this little talk together that we've been having, so that you remember what you need to do when you go home And you need to remember about the 4 pillars of
Yeah, write them down so I remember.
So you're dealing first of all with nutrition.
Nutrition, food.
What you eat,
Yummy.
yes.
No salt.
Then, right.
No salt, Desmond, right? No salt.
And not only no salt, but be careful of the carbohydrates you're taking. Okay?
The next one is which
one? No stress.
No stress.
Okay.
No stress. Too blessed to be stressed.
We have to minimize the stress by lifestyle, right? And then we have our exercise. How we exercise. Okay? That is extremely important as well, to get the exercise in your life, right? And then we also want to talk about
proper sleep,
insomnia and so forth. I mentioned that as the last one. Sleeping and the whole idea of not getting enough hours. Remember, if you're not getting enough hours of sleep, it takes hours for you to get into that deep sleep we talk about. You can't get there in 3 hours. You need 6-7 hours of sleep to reach that level of rapid eye sleep and deep sleep where your body is refreshing itself. If you don't do that, you're in a problem. Now, I would like Miss Gloria and Master Desmond to tell me what are the 4.
We know all the 4 pillars, but I want you to say one. Let me say one.
Nutrition.
Oh, stress. Take care of stress.
Exercise.
Okay, and good sleep. Oh, sweet sleep.
So are you both now going to be in charge of the 2 that you...
I will look after the nutrition. I will look after the food. Make sure so you know get much salt in the food. Make sure we use all of the nice good seasoning them what you talk about. And I'm going to look about the portion, you know. So that everything going to be balanced and that.
And we're not going to stress you anymore.
Because we're going to exercise.
And because of exercise, I'm going to get a good sleep and something else.
All right.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Naughtiness is naughtiness. Good things. Good things.
Don't mash up the engine.
Don't mash up your engine. Don't mash up your engine. Your heart got the power will keep you moving on. Don't mash up your engine. Don't mash up your engine. Take care of your heart so you can stay strong.
My dear, so that is just our very amateurish presentation on some of what was shared today in our webinar. Just talking as lay people. And we just want to thank you for taking the time to watch our little efforts to sort of re-emphasize. And we'd like to move on now and ask Dr. William Brown, our president, to give us a quick summary and closing remarks. After that, we will have the closing prayer and the vote of thanks before closing for today. It's been a long afternoon, but we thank you for staying with us. And we try to be a little different. We try to be a little unique, and we try to be all inclusive. So thank you for this. William, Dr. Brown, over to you.
Thank you very much. So it's going to be a quick summary. Dr. Paige Robinson, thank you very much for coming and sharing with us your ideas on how to focus on prevention of heart diseases, and if you have it already, how to maintain it and how to be rehabilitated. She spoke about nutrition, or types of nutrition, food, the calories. Spoke about stress, how to handle stress, and the minimum amount of sleep that will keep the heart going. And then exercise. She emphasized that exercise or intentional moving can cut down the risk of heart disease by 50%. Interesting. By 50%. And that our bodies are really chemical environments which need dietary chemistry and metabolic regulation. These are big words, but basically what she's saying is that since our bodies are are chemically formulated is the same chemicals that will make us live long or die young. So the type of fat we eat determines how the body stores the fat, whether it's going to store it in the liver or in the arteries. And if it's not good and it stores it in the arteries, then you're going to get atherosclerosis, which leads to high cholesterol and high heart diseases, including heart attack, and also ischemic heart disease. It mentions sleep and cardio protection. Now, you know, the more you sleep, it says 6 to 8 hours. Some of us sleep less. Some people say from 7 to 8 hours, but the more you sleep, the more likely you preserve your heart health. So these are some of the areas. She also mentioned about strain at the workplace, burnout, job strain, financial worry, caregiver, burnout also, aging parents, young children. These are all factors that can influence our heart health. And there are many ways in which we can deal with them. Then came Dr. Riley, who looked at 4 different areas. He looked at the the major cardiovascular risk factors, which included hypertension, cholesterol, diabetes, and he mentioned a big one there now, metabolic syndrome. Further on, he mentioned about how we can know the warning signs of heart diseases. You know, don't take the short of bread, the light cough, the tiredness is the tiredness, and the black cramps and the chest heaviness. Don't take it for that. Go and get screened. When you get screened, the more likely that they can detect heart disease and you can be treated early. Early intervention helps. They mentioned more advances in cardiac health, cardiovascular health, that's healthcare, with all those devices, the new ones, the cheap ones, and the expensive one. And finally, I put it the other way around. Why it matters at age 35. Most of us have even doubled age 35, but it does not matter. He said 35 is the turning point where metabolism shifts, the blood vessels get stiffened, harder, and there are silent changes. Early prevention will help. Remember, the good news is that 80% of all heart diseases can be prevented by us. The kitchen makes and breaks us. The kitchen makes and breaks us. And the earlier the intervention, the longer and better we live. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a long afternoon. I thank you all for coming, and I hope your time with us has been worthwhile. Back to you, moderator, Anna.
Right. Thank you, Dr. William Brown. And we're now going to ask Mrs. Magdalena Cooper-Denoise, our executive member, one of our executive members, to give our closing prayer. And after which, Miss Debbie Meek will give the vote of thanks. Thank you. Over to you.
Anna, sorry, Magdalena can't make it, so Deborah is going to deputize for her. All right?
Okay.
Deborah,
Yes. All right.
go ahead.
Okay, good evening again, everyone. Let us pray. Most righteous and eternal God, we just want to give you thanks again, Lord God, for this evening. Thank you, Lord God, for this enlightening moment that we had. We were able to share, Lord, information that I'm sure, Lord, that every one of us who attended this webinar benefited from. Thank you for the presenters, the sponsors again, Lord, and for everyone who was able to participate this evening. As we leave here this evening, Lord, we pray that we'll all have left, mighty God, more enlightened with information that we can use for our benefit. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Good afternoon, everyone. As we come to the close of this enlightening webinar, it is my distinct pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the JMHS. First, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to Ms. Shannon Smith for officially opening our second webinar for the year. Thank you for setting the tone for what has been an informative and inspiring afternoon. Our sincere gratitude goes to our presenters, Dr. Paige Robinson and Dr. Vincent Riley, for sharing their expertise and practical insights on heart health after 35. Your presentations have reminded us that a healthy heart is the foundation for a longer, healthy, and more productive life. Thank you for equipping us with the knowledge and motivation to make heart health a daily priority. We also thank our moderators, Dr. Kervin Dawes and Brown Morgan, for guiding today's proceedings with professionalism and ensuring a seamless and engaging session. To all our participants, thank you for your presence, thoughtful questions, and active participation. Your involvement made this webinar meaningful, and we hope today's discussions inspires you to adopt healthier lifestyles and make heart wellness a lifelong commitment. A special thank you goes to our sponsors and partners, both returning and new. Your partnership and generosity have helped make today's webinar a success, and we look forward to many more opportunities to work together in promoting healthier communities. Our sincere appreciation also goes to the planning committee, led by our erudite president, Dr. William Brown, along with our technical support team and everyone who worked behind the scenes. Your dedication and teamwork ensure the success of this event. As we leave this session, let us remember that caring for our hearts is not just about adding years to our lives, but adding life to our years. Let heart health become not just a topic of discussion, but a daily commitment. And as we Jamaicans would say, don't mash up your engine. On behalf of JMHS, thank you all for your participation, partnership, and support. We wish you continued good health, every success, and God's richest blessings. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much. We're going to Debbie, Miss Meek, for just covering everything. We'd like to especially just mention some names. Sam, Marcy, Arlene, your efforts and the work that you have done in particular. Thank you all for being here this evening. Hope it's long, but hope benefited and hope it was a little different. God bless and keep you. Please do your post test and we'll be.
God bless and keep you to honor. With all my love.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, all right, Charlie.